perfect New York evening, but tension was rising as Game 1 was ready to bust loose.
A night of redemption here in Game 1.
The Padres pondered an early 2-run deficit, but Greg Vaughn reached out and delivered an opposite field declaration.
Greg Vaughn goes deep into right center field.
And with ace Kevin Brown, the Padres controlled the momentum. Then the man with the golden bat stepped up.
Ripped into the right field line.
Now Tony Gwynn can stand tall in the house of Gotham's Giants. It seemed Padre power would prevail. But this night to remember, redemption would rule supreme in the 7th.
Now hitting number 11, Chuck Knobloch.
It's a 5-5 game in the 7th.
And finally, Tino Martinez would have his moment to shine. Although Game 1 didn't deliver on its pitching duel promise, two men put the past aside as they looked to make the future last. Now, with Game 2 upon us, the Padres must win as right-hander Andy Ashby searches for the answer. But El Duque digs in, and this man has no fear of the Fall Classic. Next, Game 2 of the World Series on Fox. The E-Trade World Series pregame show is brought to you by E-Trade, the #1 rated place to invest online.
It's a gorgeous night for baseball at Yankee Stadium, and the postseason has always been unlikely hero time. And who in New York would have thought that Tino Martinez and Chuck Knobloch would have been the heroes of Game 1 for New York? Their power offset the blasts of Greg Vaughn and Tony Gwynn, and the Yankees came back to win Game 1 of the 1998 World Series, setting the stage for El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, and the Yankees in Game 2 tonight here on Fox. Hello again, everybody. I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to the World Series and the E-Trade World Series pregame show here on Fox. As always, I'm joined by my partner, Steve Psycho Lyons. What a great ball game last night. The Padres had the lead. They had their ace, Kevin Brown, on the mound, but they couldn't seal the deal. The Yankees came back and won Game 1.
And the Padres absolutely feel like they let one slip away from them. This was a game they probably should have won. They had Kevin Brown on the mound, 5-2 lead. He started that game with a sinus infection. He said he probably shouldn't have started at all. He was gassed when the game started. By the 5th, he had nothing. And then this ball off of Chili Davis's bat hit him in the shin. The Padres actually thought that he may have had a broken leg at one period in that game. Brown kept pitching until he couldn't go anymore, and then the bullpen couldn't hold it for him.
Yankee fans were delighted over what happened in the 7th inning with Tino Martinez and Mark Langston. Padre fans weren't too thrilled. Not so much with the home run, but the pitches that let the home run take place. Of course, Tino Martinez hit the grand slam on a 3-2 pitch. He crushed it into the upper deck. That gave the Yankees a 4-run lead. But a lot of Padre fans, and really a lot of fans in New York, thought Richie Garcia may have missed a strike 3 call.
Well, let's set up that at bat. There's the strike zone. First pitch from Langston was a breaking ball away for a ball. Second pitch, high fastball out of the zone. Then Langston comes back with a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. You can see it within the zone. Then Tino fouls one off. Now the 2-2. Looks like a pretty good pitch. In fact, that is strike 1. That pitch is ball 3. Pretty questionable. The big problem, the next pitch. 2 outs, bases drunk, full count, and the ball's in the seats for a grand slam home run. Now, a lot of people have been talking about that pitch, thinking it's a big controversy. They ought to stop talking about it. It wasn't that pitch that beat the Padres. It was the next one that ended up in the seats. Richie Garcia called 318 pitches in that game. Maybe he missed one. But there was 8 guys in that Padre lineup that went 1 for 4 or worse in the game. And there was a saying that my dad used to tell me early in my career as a kid. He said, an umpire will never beat you. I believe that to be true. Richie Garcia did not beat the Padres. They just didn't win it for themselves.
And hey, how about Mark Langston? He said himself, I didn't execute, and that's why Tino Martinez hit the grand slam. Langston is absolutely right about that. So into Game 2's fray is tossed Andy Ashby, a man that really has turned his second half of the season around with great pitching performances against the Astros and the Atlanta Braves. Which Andy Ashby will we see? The Andy Ashby that went 16-6 at the start of the season, or the Andy Ashby that struggled so badly in the second half of the regular season? Padres are hoping it'll be the Ashby that was a Cy Young candidate. They know all too well about the atmosphere of Yankee Stadium, and Ashby knows how that can affect a pitcher.
Playing in the stadium, I heard it gets awful loud, and very, very crazy at sometimes. But, you know, you have to shut it out and do what you have to do on the field and let all that take care of itself. But, you know, like I said, the main thing is go out and try and do your job and not think about, you know, it's going to be hard not to think, well, you're pitching the World Series because this is what you play the game for. But if I can go out and control my emotions early and get kind of settled in and do what I have to do and keep it close where I have a chance to win, then I feel very comfortable that we can go out and do that.
Maybe the biggest start for Andy Ashby in his major league career. The Padres don't want to go back home in a 2-games-to-none hole.
Oh, this is a huge start for Andy Ashby, but he's always had great stuff in the National League. His problem was the fact that he didn't really have the heart or the attitude. That's what Dave Stewart has added to his game. Stewart keeps a close eye on him. That's the biggest difference between Ashby's previous seasons and this one.
And something else the Padres need is not only a great start from Ashby, but Trevor Hoffman in the ballgame with the lead. That's something they did not have happen in Game 1. El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, what a story this man is. A refugee from Cuba, making a World Series start. You'll meet him when we continue on the E-Trade pregame show after this. Ball here at Yankee Stadium. Welcome back to the E-Trade World Series pregame show as we get set for Game 2 between the Padres and the Yankees. Hi again, everybody. Chip Carey along with Steve Psycho Lyons. One of the great stories of this postseason is the mystery man for the Yankees, Orlando El Duque Hernandez, a man that fled the oppression of his homeland of Cuba, floated to freedom, and now finds himself pitching in Game 2 of the World Series. Let's meet him now. He is a product of sports and politics. A Cuban legend that represented a country whose mask of self-esteem is the game of baseball. But his island baseball career came to an end soon after his half-brother, last year's World Series MVP Livan Hernandez, defected in 1995. After 2 years of being banned from the game he loved, Hernandez decided the only way to survive emotionally and economically was to wager freedom against danger.
Hold on to yourself, for this is gonna hurt like hell.
Unsure if he'll ever see his family again, Hernandez left Cuba, gambling clandestinely in a weathered boat. Instead of surviving rough innings, El Duque had to survive rough seas, hunger, and shark-infested waters.
Physically on the boat, we had a little bit of fear. And all we could do is ask God to guide us as he did.
The boat landed safely in the Bahamas, and he became an instant baseball intrigue.
I don't think any of us know how old he is. We really don't care.
28. 28?
29.
No,
he was signed by the Yankees and had success in what seemed to be a New York minute. Still, El Duque appeared withdrawn and sullen.
I could be thinking about baseball. I could be thinking about my daughter. I'm serious. I'm sometimes happy inside, but I just have a serious form to me.
In the beginning, he would try to get away from everybody, but right now he started beginning to know me. I started beginning to know him, so we have a great relation right now.
I speak to my family regularly, and I've been able to grow a lot these past 2 years without baseball. Also grow a lot now that I'm here in the States and my family's in Cuba. But my 8-year-old daughter, she helps me along the way because she tells me, Dad, I know why you're not here. I know why you're there. It's because you want to play baseball and you have to play baseball to raise a family. So that helps me to get along.
But because of language barriers, his messages don't always come across clearly.
He likes to rag on you different, obviously a different language, and then you just look at him like, what? And he thinks he gets you. He's laughing at you. You got to find somebody around here to translate for him. By that time, it's all over. He's laying on the ground laughing at you. It's terrible.
I don't speak English.
Well, he may be a man of mystery, but there's no mystery about what he did for the Yankees. He had a great rookie season, and if you're worried about pressure and how he's going to react to that, remember, he floated for freedom and for his life in coming to America.
And that's pressure. This is not pressure. This is just going to be a lot of fun for the kid. And remember, the Yankees win Game 1. He goes out there with all that flair, all those knees and everything he throws at you. He's a good pitcher. He can get it done with a lot less pressure on him.
There are those who say, though, that he does have a weakness, and that is against left-handed batters. You buy that?
Yes, he does, and that's why Bruce Bochy has loaded up that lineup with a bunch of lefties, 7 of them. Vaughn is the DH in that lineup. lefties hit 100 points higher in the lineup than do right-handed hitters against him, and that's why you see so many. The only problem that does present itself for Bochy is the fact that if there's a pitching change, then he might have to make some changes in his lineup.
So as we get set for game 2, Steve, your final thoughts. This obviously a huge game for the Padres, especially the way game 1 went to the Yankees. The Padres don't want to go home down 2-0, but how do you react emotionally to a loss like the one they suffered last night?
Well, it's really tough, but you got to be able to make a comeback. Situation for the Padres is Andy Ashby has to throw some goose eggs up on the scoreboard very early, settle down, take this Yankee crowd out of the game, and then for those left-handed hitters in the lineup, they have to do what they're supposed to do, score some runs, and make sure they get ahead in this game, get to Hoffman.
Well, folks, have fun adjusting your volume dial at home as we get set for game 2 of the World Series. The Yankee Stadium is rocking. When we come back, Robert Merrill will have our national anthem, we'll have our first pitch, and then it'll be game 2 of the Fall Classic coming up right here on Fox. Game 2 of the 1998 World Series between the Padres and the Yankees. Let's send it upstairs to the legendary PA voice of the Yankees, Bob Shepard, for our pregame introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise? We direct your attention now to the area behind home plate and introducing once again Mr. Robert Merrill.
Join me lustily to sing our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting in air, yet through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the hope of the brave?
Robert Merrill with our national anthem here at Yankee Stadium. Of course, Yankee Stadium, one of the crown jewels in all of baseball, and its most special feature is Monument Park. And in the 1998 season, the home run chase of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, the Maris family was on hand. They got a chance to see their father's monument in center field.
Ladies and gentlemen, throwing out tonight's ceremonial first pitch are 6 cherished members of the Yankee family. This summer, the home run chase by Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa allowed the country to celebrate the great accomplishments of Roger Maris. Joining us tonight to honor their father, please welcome the Maris children, Sandra, Kevin, Richard, Randy, Susan, and Roger Jr.
It's game time, folks. Yes, and it's great to see the Maris family back home here at Yankee Stadium. Stay tuned. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and Bob Brenly will have Game 2 of the World Series after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bronx for the start of game number 2 of the 1998 World Series. The San Diego Padres and the New York Yankees. And welcome to the broadcast booth, everyone. I'm Joe Buck. The guys will join me in just a moment. Last night we came on the air before game 1 and talked about a couple of question marks surrounding the Yankee offense. What do? They get 2 big home runs, one hit by Chuck Knobloch, the grand slam from Tino Martinez. And as I welcome in my partners, Tim McCarver and Bob Brenly. Tim, this Yankee team won 114 games. They did hit over 200 home runs as a team, but for Joe Torre, it's still more of a get him on, get him over, get him in offense.
Yeah, Joe, it's a lineup that's aggressive in the strike zone, patient on balls just out of the strike zone. They don't swing a lot of bad balls. They run a lot of deep counts. They have a leadoff man's mentality, and it's understandable. 9 of the players on the Yankees roster were leadoff men. Tim Raines, of course, leading the group. Bernie Williams, the cleanup batter in tonight's game, with 245 games as a leadoff batter. They've had only 5 complete games thrown against them this year, and no wonder. They just wear that starting pitcher out.
Which was bad news last night for the San Diego Padres and starter Kevin Brown. They wear him down. They get into the long relief corps for the Padres, and that's what coughed up the lead last night for San Diego.
Now, that ability to run up those pitch counts has exposed a weakness that the Padres probably didn't even realize they had. Their bullpen was very strong during the regular season, ranked 4th in the National League, but look what's happened in the postseason. With the exception of Trevor Hoffman, the Padres bullpen has been ineffective at best. In a perfect world, Bruce Bochy would get 8 innings out of his starter and just hand the ball to Trevor Hoffman, but because of the high pitch count that we anticipate tonight from the Yankee offense, he's going to have to go to the middle relief, and that spelled trouble in the postseason.
Tonight's starter for the San Diego Padres, right-hander Andy Ashby. He'll be opposed by the right-hander Orlando El Duque Hernandez for the Yankees. New York up 1-0. Game 2 comes your way from Yankee Stadium right after this quick timeout. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. We await the Yankees' entrance to the field, and now here they come. The Yankees, who won last night's game. Game 1, 9-6 over San Diego, hit the field. Led there by their left fielder, rookie Ricky Leday, and right in the heart of the diamond, the right-hander El Duque. Orlando Hernandez. A look at the Coors Light starting lineup for the San Diego Padres. Gilvio Veras leads off at second base. Tony Gwynn bats second and right field with the DH tonight. Greg Vaughn homered twice here last night in consecutive plate appearances. Ken Caminetti cleans up with Wally Joyner at first. Steve Finley in center field with John Vanderwall in left. Greg Myers, his first start in his history in the postseason behind the plate here in game number 2. And Chris Gomez at short batting ninth. The Yankee defense with Chuck Knobloch highlighted. At second base, he made an error here last night, and he has committed 2 errors in this postseason. It is the same defense for Joe Torre, different man on the mound. Last night, David Wells. Tonight, the right-hander El Duque, Orlando Hernandez.
A guy who is fun to watch and hard to hit. That high leg kick, very deceptive. What El Duque did, he came up with a good 4-seam fastball to confront left-handed batters. That was illustrated in his 4-0 win over the Cleveland Indians. And the pitching to Jim Thome and David Justice. He's a trickster who knows how to hide the ball, partially because of that high leg kick. So the right-hander, anywhere from 25 to 35 years old. Right?
In that range. He's in some demographic.
Right.
We don't know.
Well, both managers spoke of his ability to hide the baseball, Tim. As you mentioned, he's not overpowering with this fastball, but because hitters pick it up so late, it appears to be much quicker than it really is.
Well, El Duque pitched what was a crucial game for the Yankees for Joe Torre in game 4 of the American League Championship Series. Here are Joe Torre's thoughts on observing El Duque during the day before that start.
It was so incredible, the magnitude that game held for us. And I watched him at brunch that day, okay? We're down 2-1. And he's out there serving people food. And he's picking plates up. I said, wow. I said, I'm not sure if we're going to win, but I know he's not going to be afraid. And he pitched a sterling performance.
Be serving up something different tonight.
That sterling performance, he went 7 innings, allowed no runs on 3 hits. The Yankees were down 2-1, if you remember. Even the series at 2-2, and went on to win in 6 games over the Cleveland Indians. As always, this broadcast is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. We will get into the story of Orlando Hernandez, detailed so well during the pregame show. As Kilvio Veras leads it off for San Diego with Tony Gwynn and Greg Vaughn to follow. Pitch 1 of game number 2. A strike to Kilvio Veras. Hernandez from Villa Clara, Cuba. Big breaking ball for strike 2.
I think he wants a fastball. He was shaking for location. Usually if a pitcher shakes yes, no, yes, it's a fastball.
Still 0-2.
And Hernandez has a reputation of being a very deliberate worker, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of that throughout the course of the game tonight.
Calling the balls and strikes, Mark Hirschbeck behind the plate, representing the National League, joined by that crew here in game 2. Good start for El Duque.
Goes after Kilvio Veras with a first pitch fastball to get ahead, start the ball game. Comes back with a nice overhand curve, very tight spin. Veras able to foul off a heater on the outside corner, and then a shorter, sharper breaking ball for strike 3.
Strikeout number 1 for Hernandez, and we mentioned last night they have different ways of tracking strikeouts here at Yankee Stadium. As Gwynn, first pitch swinging, dumps a base hit into left field. So adept at going the other way, and Gwynn, who got his first hit here last night going to left, goes to left here and played on one bounce by Ricky Leday.
Tony Gwynn quiet in the league championship series, batting only .190, but 4 for 5 here at Yankee Stadium. First pitch high fastball, classic Gwynn stroke to left.
Why does it seem like the ball takes so long to get to Tony Gwynn? It seems like he's waiting to hit the ball for a long time.
The ball just looks bigger to him, doesn't it?
So Gwynn is on at first with 1 out. And the batter is Greg Vaughn. I mentioned last night Vaughn last year failed a physical. And the trade was reversed. Greg Vaughn was sent back to San Diego. What'd he do this year? A career year, 50 home runs, 119 driven in. He hit 2 home runs in game 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. David Wells got the victory here last night. He's now won 6 consecutive postseason starts. Not his typical dominant self, though. 7 innings, 5 runs on 7 hits last night, but he got the victory. Blown right past Vaughn, strike 2.
Greg Vaughn swinging well under those 2 high fastballs. See, that bat comes right underneath that pitch. A little ride on that fastball. It doesn't really rise, but it doesn't sink at all. It holds path all the way to the catcher.
Just missed. 2-2.
Now, the Yankees can't complain about that knee-high fastball. Not after last night. The pitch, a 2-2 pitch to Tino Martinez. That ball was low. Good call by Hirschbeck.
dropping down a little bit. Who doesn't have multiple arm angles on this Yankee staff?
David Cohn enhanced.
Yeah, you got that right. And Kevin Brown for the Padres last night. You know, it's been a long time since you've seen pitchers that were willing to do this. They're all so concerned with their mechanics and their arm angle and this and that. It's kind of refreshing to see a pitcher that'll go out there and invent things from time to time.
Good swing by Vaughn. It stays full, 3-2.
High leg kick, actually not that high on that particular delivery. I guess you'd call that very low 3/4. Not quite sidearm, but approaching sidearm with that delivery.
The rookie Hernandez is ready. A walk to Vaughn, and it's 2 on with only 1 out for San Diego here in the first inning. Veras struck out, Gwynn singled, Vaughn worked a walk. And now the cleanup hitter Ken Caminiti, who was 0 for 3 here last night, walks to the plate. Both home runs for Caminiti this postseason have come while batting left-handed. And he bats with Gwynn at second and Vaughn at first, as the Padres look for a quick start here in game 2.
Well, last night against the left-hander David Wells, the Yankees worked Caminiti away early in the count and then tried to pound him in later in the count.
Jose Cardinal just brought Ricky Leday in a few steps in left field. Strike 1 to Caminiti.
And if you think that's not important, we'll take you back to game 5 of the 1996 World Series when Jose Cardinal moved Paul O'Neill to his right about 3 steps to track down a ball hit by Luis Polonia for the last out of the game. That game won by Andy Pettit, 1-0.
Strike 2 on Caminiti.
There's usually a coach on every ball club that's responsible for positioning the outfielders, and they use the charts studying tendencies of hitters throughout the regular season. But after you've been positioned, many times outfielders don't move with the count, which is very important as well. When the pitcher's ahead in the count, the batter's more likely to be defensive and hit the ball to the opposite field. When the hitter's ahead in the count, he's more likely to pull the ball.
When Mariano Rivera came in the game last night, we mentioned that the Padres had not seen a pitcher quite like Rivera. Well, they haven't seen a pitcher quite like Hernandez either. Nobody in the National League throws from this many arm angles and has this many pitches to get guys out on. I guess the closest would be Kevin Brown of the Padres, their teammate.
Now 2 on with 2 out for Wally Joyner. A ball up and away. So Joyner now with a chance to put San Diego out in front. .298 hitter during the regular season. He was 0 for 3 here last night. Duque, the Duke. Some imaginative and inventive fans around here as they track the strikeouts. 2. Joyner off the end of the bat into deep right. At the wall. O'Neill makes the catch to end the inning. Joyner didn't get all of it, and it cost him and the Padres as O'Neill went up the wall and brought back out number 3 here in the top of the first. Bottom of the first, Yankees bat, no score. Back at Yankee Stadium, Andy Ashby and the Padres head to work in the field, and a look at the Coors Light starting lineup for the New York Yankees. Chuck Knobloch, one hero last night, leads off at second base. Derek Jeter bats second at short. Paul O'Neill hits third in right field. He's already made a good catch. Bernie Williams cleans up in center. Chili Davis is the DH tonight, with Tino Martinez, who hit the grand slam, finally broke through in the postseason for the Yankees here last night. He's at first with Brocious at third, Posada catching, and Ricky Leday, the 24-year-old rookie, in left field batting ninth. To look at the Padre defense, we highlight Caminiti. 3 consecutive Gold Glove awards for Caminiti at third. He's got a great arm. And the right-hander, who also has a pretty good arm, is Andy Ashby.
Good look at his numbers in the postseason. Ashby has really learned intensity and focus under pitching coach Dave Stewart, a guy whose mind tended to wander at times early in his career. Dave Stewart has definitely changed the look of this Padres pitching staff, at least their own mental outlook as they take that mound.
Chuck Knobloch has that one important home run in this postseason. Digs in, takes a strike. You remember it was Andy Ashby in game 1 of the NLCS, pitching so well, matching up against John Smoltz. He didn't get the victory, but the Padres eventually did in the 10th inning. And then Ashby pitched well in game 5. Game the Padres had a late inning lead. Bullpen gave it up, including Kevin Brown. The pop-up behind the plate for Greg Myers. Long run, and he can't hang on. It's strike number 2 on Chuck Knobloch.
That's a nice try by Greg Myers. He's sliding with all that equipment on. That's what outfielders often do. The ball in the glove, and it came out. This is a behind home plate. It is padded, and you don't necessarily have to slide to make that play. But generally speaking, that's the best way to handle it. That way you don't bang up the thighs and the torso.
Bruce Bochy, a former catcher, a backup catcher for the Padres when they were in the World Series in 1984. He gives one of his backup catchers a start here tonight in game 2. Ball and 2 strikes on Knobloch.
Well, the idea against El Duque is to load up with as many left-handed hitters in your lineup as possible. Greg Myers, a left-handed bat with some power, getting an opportunity to start tonight and catch Andy Ashby.
1-2 on Knobloch. First up for the Yankees in the first. Foul. Knobloch wasn't willing to talk about redemption after the game last night, visiting with Chip Carey, the end of our telecast, but in many ways it was. Granted, when he came back from Cleveland as the Yankees played game 6 here at Yankee Stadium, the crowd gave him an ovation when he was announced and when he took the field, but it had a little more meaning to it last night when he tied the game in the 7th inning with a 3-run homer. A ball and 2 strikes. 2-2 now from Ashby.
Yankee fans forgave Chuck Knobloch like the Chicago Cub fans forgave Brant Brown for that drop fly ball in Milwaukee the last week of the season. And the Cubs going overtime to beat the San Francisco Giants in game 163 to win the wild card berth in the National League playoff.
2-2 to Knobloch. Chuck stays alive.
Hey, remember last night Carlos Hernandez had white fingernail polish on. Greg Myers has tape on the index finger and probably the rest of the fingers, I would assume, to make it a little easier for Andy Ashby to see the signs.
Team manicurist went back to San Diego to get ready for the series out there, so it's just tape tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count as Knobloch battles Ashby. It was 0-2. It's now 3-2.
And this is that typical leadoff man mentality that the Yankees have. The deep count, 6 pitches already to Knobloch.
On 3-2. Knobloch walks. What a good at bat for the veteran second baseman, and he's on to start the first inning for the Yankees.
Well, those hitters that are able to lay off pitches out of the strike zone and fight off the tough pitcher's pitches, foul them off and force that pitcher to continue to work. And you see the result.
That's what a lot of major league hitters are not willing to do. Take a strike, get in the hole, be defensive, and work the count. So Knobloch took the first strike and the last ball in that at bat.
Here's Derek Jeter. A leadoff walk to Knobloch. O'Neill will follow Jeter, and then Bernie Williams. As now Andy Ashby tries to pitch around a leadoff walk. Knobloch during the regular season stole 31. He has yet to steal a base in this postseason. Signaling Willie Randolph to go through the signs again. Jeter looking at both Randolph and Knobloch as Chuck stays put. The pitch is low. Ball 1 to Jeter.
A lot of things Joe Torre can do right here. Certainly the hit and run with the count in Jeter's favor is one option.
One ball, no strikes. Knobloch at first with nobody out. He starts, swing and a miss. Throw to second is off the mark. And Knobloch has his first stolen base of this postseason. Looked like a good throw might get him, but Myers did not get much on that toss down to second.
You give yourself 2 chances with a guy with speed on at first base. Myers did not have a good pitch to handle. The ball got hung up in the web, and Knobloch has a stolen base.
Yeah, it looked like Myers never really had a good grip on that ball before unloading it to second base. Caused the ball to sail a little bit, tail away from the bag. Knobloch able to get in ahead of it.
And a runner at second with nobody out for New York as Jeter hits a comebacker. Ashby looks back Knobloch and gets the out. One away, and Jeter did not advance the runner. That'll bring in Paul O'Neill, who went up the wall on the ball hit by Joyner. 2 on, 2 out, and this catch ended the top of the first.
But Paul O'Neill does not get enough credit for his defense out there in right field. One of the best in the game. Able to go back on the ball, charge hard on balls hit in front of him. Very accurate, strong throwing arm. And just another great play there by Paul O'Neill.
It's kind of the new old reliable around here for the Yankees. To go along with what you're saying, Bob, and he has re-upped another contract signed past this year now, and he bats with Knobloch at second, 1 out. He goes the other way. Caminiti with that good arm. High throw, safe, and here comes Knobloch. Joyner's throw not made. 1-0 Yankees.
Because Ken Caminiti went back on the ball, he wasn't able to plant his feet, and throwing it off balance off that back foot. A hurried throw that is high, and Joyner, even though he got a glove on it, allows it to trickle away. O'Neill does not advance, but Knobloch does.
It's unusual to see Ken Caminiti make a throwing error. Such a strong arm, but as you mentioned, Tim, his momentum was taking him towards the foul line, away from the play. Not able to get as much on that throw as he normally does.
So Knobloch with the battle for the leadoff walk, steals second, and scores on that error, which is how it's ruled by Caminiti. No RBI for O'Neill. It's 1-0 Yankees in the first as Bernie Williams bats.
Many times as a third baseman and a left-handed batter at the plate, you get caught by surprise sometimes when they hit a ball to your right. It's not unusual for a left-handed hitter to shoot that 5.5 Tony Gwynn hole on the left side of the infield, but not too many lefties go right down the third base line.
Bernie Williams takes ball 1. Tino Martinez, one of the heroes here last night for the Yankees. Part of the order now for the Yankees, already leading by 1. Now O'Neill's running on a hit and run. Ashby knocks it down. Gets Williams at first and down to second. O'Neill, 2 out.
What you're seeing here in the first inning is the Joe Torre style of play that he brought from the National League. Get him on, get him over, get him in. The Yankees have not hit a ball out of the infield. They have 1 run already scored and another runner in scoring position.
What a lot of people talked about back in 1996 when Joe Torre first got here, and we've seen more and more American League clubs follow suit. But I don't know that any team in the American League does that any better than the Yankees. As O'Neill takes his lead at second with 2 out for Chili Davis. A little low, and a look at Ashby in the play from catcher camp.
See that pitch on the outside corner. Bernie Williams goes right back up the middle, and Ashby in self-defense knocks it down and is able to get the out at first. Myers coming out into the infield to direct traffic there. Let Ashby know where to throw the ball.
Ashby with a runner at second, 2 out. 1 run home for the Yankees. Chili Davis. Another one back up the middle. This one's through. O'Neill comes around to score, and it's 2-0 New York in the first. Get him on, get him over, get him in, and it's 2-0 Yankees here in the opening inning of game number 2.
Tried to come inside on Chili Davis, just didn't get it in there far enough. The high bounce in front of home plate enough to get over Andy Ashby into center field. Here's a look from Super Shot. Gomez very close to gloving that ball up the middle. Just enough to get through into center field.
Super Shot, a look we're trying to give you. A little closer look, a slower replay, and you could see it was just out of the reach of Gomez as Tino Martinez digs in and takes a strike. 1 home run, a grand slam here last night in game 1. He's driven in 5 in this entire postseason. He has struggled in his career in the postseason as a Yankee. If Knobloch wasn't ready to talk about redemption, Tino Martinez, after taking this 2-2 pitch just low, did this. The grand slam to make it a 9-5 Yankee lead in a 7-run 7th inning. And Tino Martinez is more than willing to admit the relief he felt after pounding that pitch out of this ballpark.
And a lot of times when you've been struggling at the plate, all it takes is one line drive or one ball hit right on the button to get that feeling back.
The 1-1. Now Martinez set up at a ball and 2 strikes. This is the old killing them softly inning. A leadoff walk, a stolen base, ball back to the pitcher, an error by Caminiti, which allowed the first run to score. A ball back to the pitcher, a ball back to the pitcher off the bat of Chili Davis. It went over his head and into center, and it's 2-0 New York. And now the 1-2 to Martinez, 2-2.
2 hit and run plays in this inning. The keys, even though one was a stolen base with Knobloch running and Jeter swinging and missing, and then the hit and run with Bernie Williams dropped by Ashby, but that moved Paul O'Neill over. The Bombers not living up to their name tonight.
Still 2-2 on Tino Martinez.
They ought to just call them the bottom liners, because that's all that matters. Find a way to get those runners around the bases and onto home plate and back in the dugout. And the Yankees have done that better than anybody this year.
The Bronx Tricklers.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Tino Martinez. Down the right field line, fair ball into the corner. Chili Davis limping around second and into third, not running well. And it's a long, loud single for Tino Martinez to set up first and third, 2 out.
And a terrific play by Tony Gwynn in right field to hold Martinez to a single and Davis to third base. It's a dangerous right field to play. That ball can rattle around out there. This ball looked like it hit right on the line. Similar to Ricky Leday's double last night. Fine play by Gwynn.
And Gwynn made a nice play on Leday's double last night. He was out here early during batting practice, had one of the coaches hitting him some fungos down into that right field corner so he could get used to playing those angles. Goes right to the spot where the ball comes and hustles it back into the infield quickly. Boy, Tino Martinez smoked that ball.
Talk about feel. Woo. That was the feel you were talking about, Bob.
Another good swing by Tino Martinez. If he's back, this Yankee lineup will have a much different look. Here's a team, New York, that hit only .218 during the American League Championship Series, yet advanced because of pitching and defense. Here's one guy who hasn't struggled in the postseason. In the Yankee pinstripes, Scott Brocious. First and third, 2 out, 2-0 New York, first inning. And A strike over the inside corner. Already a visit here in the first inning from Dave Stewart. Brocious a base hit. It's 3-0 Yankees. Scott Brocious knocks in his 10th run of this postseason.
The Yankees scored 12 runs in the first inning in the American League Championship Series against Cleveland. 3 here tonight for El Duque. They have given him the best run support in the major league, scoring almost 7 runs a game, and off to a hot start again tonight.
And I think it bears repeating. We mentioned it last night. 32 times during the regular season, the Yankees scored 5 or more runs in an inning. It's just like a snowball rolling downhill. They start throwing those base hits in there. They mix in a walk. They constantly keep the pressure on that opposing pitcher.
Now first and second, 2 out. As Posada takes a ball low and away. You could see the smile on the face of Chili Davis, smiling over on the bench after having to go first to third. He tore ligaments in his right ankle, isn't running well, and was able to basically walk home on the single by Brocious. A 1-0 to Posada. 1 ball, 1 strike. Think back to how this inning opened with Knobloch drawing the walk. And remember the foul ball that Myers got to, had it in his glove and couldn't hang on. Knobloch battled for the walk. Important error by Caminiti. And a 3-0 Yankee lead with a chance for more. Strike 2, and Myers was crossed up. A ball and 2 strikes on Posada.
You can tell by the way a catcher reacts. That pitch does something different than he was anticipating. Started to move the glove up and away, had to come back down to the middle of the zone to catch the pitch. Not only is that dangerous for a wild pitcher, a pass ball, but you take a lot of strikes away from your pitcher.
Right.
Back to boxing balls like that when they do something you're not anticipating.
It looked like Greg was looking for a tailing fastball and got a slider.
Now the 1-2 pitch to Posada. Still 1-2 as Brian Boehringer, the ex-Yankee, cranks it up for the Padres out in their bullpen here in the first. Travel day tomorrow in this series. And then game 3 will come your way on Tuesday evening. Ashby a long first inning. The 1-2 to Posada. Right at the second baseman. Veras drops it, throws to first. That was an ugly play as he nearly picked off Joyner at first. The Yankees come up with 3. A big error mixed in, and after 1 inning in game 2, 3-0 New York. Most enduring corporate images. The Goodyear blimp is floating overhead, providing aerial pictures for tonight's game. The Spirit of Akron is proud to be a part of the 100th anniversary celebration of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And we're glad they're with us tonight. Beautiful night. Warm for this time of year here in New York. And down below, a good first inning for the Yankees as they come up with 3 unearned runs.
Silvio Veras goes up the ladder. Thought he had that ball in the air. Popped out of the glove. Almost threw it away at first. You said it, a very ugly play to end the bottom of the first inning.
But it worked to end a 29-pitch first inning for Andy Ashby to go along with what you talked about, Bob, in the opening. 29-pitch first inning. A long inning for Ashby as the Padres try to avoid that middle relief rut they fell into in game 1. Finley at the plate. And Hernandez has missed with each of the first 3. It's 3-0. Vanderwall next, and then Greg Myers. 3-1. Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach for Joe Torre. And the rookie, Orlando Hernandez.
Full count.
In the last 50 years, only 6 rookies have started Yankee games in the World Series. Mel Stottlemyre was one. Orlando Hernandez, of course, another. Whitey Ford was the first one back in 1950.
Finley strikes out as he chased one on 3-2.
Nice comeback by El Duque here after falling behind 3-0. Comes back with 3 consecutive fastballs to get the swinging strike on Steve Finley, which is down low out of the strike zone.
And now the first pitch to Vanderwall is up for ball 1. Finley had that disgusted look on his face about the split second he let the bat go. Going after that low pitch on 3-2. He's the first out. And now Hernandez behind on the count again. It's 2-0 on Vanderwall. 2-1.
What an eventful LCS John Vanderwall had. The big throw to get Walt Weiss to Jim Leyritz in Game 3. And then the 2-run homer that put the Padres in front in Game 5. Only to see Atlanta coming back to win it.
2-2 now on Vanderwall. You want the throw, you get the throw. Vanderwall gunning down Walt Weiss in what could have been a 2-run inning or more. Leyritz hanging on the other end. We've already shown you catcher cam once tonight. It bit the dust right there. Vanderwall into left center field. That falls in for a 1-out hit. By the way, after Vanderwall made that play, the Padres would eventually come from behind and win Game 3 behind Sterling Hitchcock, who was the MVP of that series against Atlanta. Now Greg Myers, who has had just a couple of postseason at bats. He's gone deep in one of them in Game 5. Off the Atlanta bullpen to make it a 1-run game. That was the game that ended 7-6. He came off the bench and belted a home run. And here he is with his first at bat with Vanderwall at first and 1 out. Ball 1.
This inning, seen some stiff swings by the Padres. One by Vanderwall, little flare to left center, and that 3-2 pitch by Steve Finley. Normally that tells you that a team is a bit tight, and the Padres appear that way tonight.
Fastball for a strike, 1-1.
And Caminiti with a similar swing in the first inning when he struck out on a fastball down and in, which is his power zone. Took a very stiff, awkward swing at that pitch.
Hernandez with a 1-ball-1-strike count on Myers. Now strike 2.
And that may get back to the bullet point we had on the scouting report on El Duque. He hides the ball so well. You don't see the pitch until it's about halfway to home plate. You recognize it as a fastball in the strike zone, but by then it's too late to pull the trigger, and you end up taking awkward swings.
Myers the pop-up behind second. Bernie Williams on to make the catch. 2 down. Kevin Towers, the senior vice president, general manager of the San Diego Padres. Many would vote for Jerry Hunsaker of the Houston Astros in the executive of the year category. You can get some votes around here for Brian Cashman, the job that he has done. Not panicking and making the trade for Randy Johnson, sticking with what he had. But a guy who also deserves consideration is Kevin Towers for the work he has done, helping to build this Padre team. 1 on, 2 out. Gomez, ball 1.
And a lot of incremental improvements in the Padres ball club. The addition of Greg Myers, a left-handed hitting catcher. The addition of John Vanderwall, a very solid pinch hitter from the left side of the plate.
We got Vanderwall on the last day of August, a month after the trading deadline. Vanderwall had cleared waivers, and it's one of those for a player to be named later deals. One ball, 1 strike on Chris Gomez. Strike two as Hernandez tries to get around a one-out single by Vanderwall.
I think it's interesting. You look at this Padres team. They only have 2 homegrown players. Joey Hamilton and Tony Gwynn, guys that were drafted by the organization, came up through the organization. There are more players who are homegrown Yankees on the Padres roster than there are Padres homegrown.
Twice as many, 4.
A ball and 2 strikes on Gomez. Wouldn't chase it. 2-2.
Of course, Brian Boehringer, Sterling Hitchcock, Jim Leyritz, and Ruben Rivera all came up through the Yankee system before moving on to the San Diego Padres.
Couple of them there, Leyritz and Rivera. The 2-2 to Gomez. Full count. That'll give Vanderwall a head start over at first. Chris Gomez, the number 9 hitter for San Diego. Last night was 1 for 3. Runner goes, 3-2 pitch, hit to Brosius. So solid over there in the postseason. Martinez digs it out on the other end, and Hernandez around a one-out single by Vanderwall. Bottom of the second in game 2. Yankees bat up 3. Bottom of the second, 3-0 New York. Number 9 hitter Ricky Leday, who didn't act like a number 9 hitter here last night, leads it off against Ashby and strike 1. Last night, Ricky Leday, the rookie, hit a 2-run double in the second inning with the bases loaded and 2 out, put the Yankees out in front. Later had a single. After that, a walk and a run scored in the 7-run 7th. Leading off here in the second, he has a 1-1 count. Here's the double against Kevin Brown in the second inning, just fair down the line, and it gave the Yankees a 2-0 lead. Outside, 2 balls and a strike on Leday. He learned after the fact that last night Kevin Brown was suffering from flu-like symptoms. 2-2, which he evidently suffered from in last year's World Series when he went 0-2 for Florida against the Cleveland Indians.
And also, apparently, the ball that was hit back through the box by Chili Davis and off of his shin apparently did more damage than we initially thought.
Leday, another hit through the right side, and that's how we start the bottom of the second.
That play that ended the top of the second inning, this is a super shot, literally. Watch Scott Brosius get the ball in throwing position. All fielders try to get the ball, outfielders or infielders, into that position across the seams. That right there is a 4-seam fastball. That's how pitchers throw 4-seam fastballs. It's straight, deliberate, even though it veered a little bit to the left. Nice play by Tino Martinez. What a shot that was.
So now Leday at first with nobody out as the Yankees put their leadoff man on. Again, Knobloch did that in the first, and here's Knobloch at the plate, strike 1.
If you talk to infielders that make throwing errors, more often than not, the reason for the throwing error is the fact they couldn't find the seams. Somewhere between fielding the ball in the glove and making the transfer to the throwing hand, getting into throwing position, they're not able to find those seams, and that's usually when the ball flies high and sails away from the first baseman.
0-1 to count. Knobloch past Caminiti into left. Leday will hold at second. Good play backing up by Gomez, and it's 2 on with nobody out. Back-to-back singles, and Knobloch is on for the second time.
We talked about positioning earlier with outfielders. Well, positioning very important for infielders also. Caminiti in, protecting against the bunt. Had he been back, conceivably that could have been a double play ball. He had to protect against the bunt, and for that reason the angle's bad. Off his glove, and Knobloch with an infield hit. Hit him in the wrist.
Actually dove a little too far that time. Caminiti goes to his left as well as any third baseman I've ever seen. Normally that's a play that he makes, but because he was drawn in out of position, it made it a very tough play.
Now it's 2 on with nobody out for Jeter. The Padres expect the bunt. Ashby trying to get an early look, and Jeter, if he's going to bunt, didn't tip it off as Ashby looked back at the runner Leday at second.
Caminetti giving the signs at third base. It's very difficult to work a rotation play in this situation because you don't know whether Jeter's going to bunt or not. Rotation plays when the third and first baseman charge, shortstop to third, second baseman to first.
Ball one, low and away.
You can do it with a pitcher up there that you know is going to bunt. You can't do it with a good hitter like Jeter up there. You got to play it straight up.
And that rotation play just opens too many holes in the infield. I mean, you don't even have to try to hit the ball to a hole. There's holes everywhere on a rotation play.
No tip off by Jeter there either as Ashby looked back at Leday.
Jeter put down 3 sacrifice bunts during the course of the regular season, but with a 3-0 lead, maybe Joe Torre's going to roll the dice and let Jeter go ahead and swing away in this situation, try to drive in a run.
Now he's going to bunt, pulls back from ball 2, 2-0.
Rotation play, first and third baseman charge, shortstop to third, second baseman to first. The idea is to get the throw to third base. And sometimes you complete that third to first double play. Like an electronic chess match.
Here's the 2-0. Runners go. Swing and a miss. Throw to third. Leday is now out if he wasn't out the first time, and it's a runner at second, 1 away. So that is the ultra aggressive play. They go from the straight swing to the bunt to the hit and run with 2 on, nobody out. And Jeter missed the pitch.
Outstanding throw by Greg Myers. He threw a bullet to third base. Tough pitch to handle. Caminetti in front of the bag, missed the tag initially, but not now.
Yeah, Ken Caminetti on tag plays at third base, plays it like a catcher at home plate. He will drop that knee. He felt he was closer to the base when he dropped that knee. At this point, there's no way Ricky Leday is getting back to third base.
Now Jeter to the right side, under the glove of Veras. Here comes Knobloch, no throw, and it's 4-0 Yankees in the second.
Well, Bruce Bochy has to be tempted to pull one of his outfielders and position him right in the middle of the field. The Yankees continue to go back through the mound into center field. You see managers do that in the last inning of a close ball game, bring an outfielder in, use 5 infielders. Would have cut down some of the Yankees' hits in this ball game.
Even though you're kidding, you have a situation where really the hardest hit ball was off the bat of Tino Martinez down the right field line. O'Neill pops it into left for Vanderwall. 2 out. At least I think you're kidding.
I'm kidding.
O'Neill's now 0 for 2, and in this World Series 0 for 7. Here comes Bernie Williams. Not much in this postseason for Williams, who is staring free agency squarely in the face at the end of this World Series. The Yankees will have just over 2 weeks to negotiate with Williams exclusively before he is out on the open market if they can't get anything done. 1 on, 2 out. And a strike to Bernie Williams. Constantly asked the questions about free agency and about where he could end up, and while he answers the questions, they're short answers, and then he usually follows that up with, but it's not something that I should be thinking about right now. Runner at first, 2 out, and an 0-2 count in a hurry on Bernie Williams.
Usually with speed on first, a guy like Joe Torre will give Bernie Williams a chance to hit up to 2 strikes, but then turn him loose with the count 0-2. One of the big reasons for that is the pitcher will try to waste a pitch on the 0-2 or 1-2 count. You may get a ball in the dirt to run on.
check on Jeter, who stole 30 bases during the regular season. It's a 4-0 Yankee lead, much to the dismay of Dave Stewart. It's got to be frustration on the part of Andy Ashby. He misses outside, 3 unearned runs in the first inning. 1 run on 3 singles here in the second.
Pitchers love long waits in the dugout. That means something's happening.
And Hernandez has already had 2. Pitch out on 1 and 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 2 out. That's foul. We had that shot of Dave Stewart. He was very open about the fact that he eventually wants to head to the front office somewhere and become a general manager, but in his first year as pitching coach, he's been surprised at how much fun he's had. Although he doesn't look like he's having too much fun right now.
Not right now. He's brought a lot physically to this Padres pitching staff, teaching that split finger to some of the guys that didn't have it before and refining the guys that did throw the split. But above and beyond that, just increasing the intensity of these Padres pitchers. Ashby, a guy throughout his career that had a reputation of not trusting his stuff. He had such a good arm and such good stuff, but wasn't getting the kind of results. Improved that split finger under Dave Stewart, improved his focus on the mound, and had an outstanding year.
Jeter is running as Williams fouls it away.
You can imagine how intense the front office would be if he became a general manager.
Some nasty looks around the copying machine. It's my paper. It's my pen. Sit down at your desk and focus.
Fax it now.
So that's his eventual goal. He learned in the San Diego front office, and then came down to the field to take over as pitching coach. And he watches as Andy Ashby brings it on 2-2 to Bernie Williams. Jeter stays put, ball 3 high, and now Jeter will go. So Andy Ashby, who has been very good in this postseason, at least in the NLCS, with 2 strong starts against Atlanta. Not too sharp here in the first couple of innings. Well, the defense let him down in the first inning. A couple of hitters have battled from 0-2 to 3-2, and that's the case with Bernie Williams here. Jeter goes, and Williams fouls it. It's hard to remember that Derek Jeter is only in his 3rd full year in the big leagues. See him talking to the second base umpire, Dana DeMuth. Had over 200 hits during the regular season. It's better and better defensively at short. He's already one of the best there. And he has handled New York extremely well. He will go on the 3-2 pitch to Bernie Williams. Into right center field. Well hit at the track, at the wall. Goodbye. 2-run homer, Bernie Williams. And it's 6-0 Yankees in the second. First home run for Bernie Williams in this postseason. Chili Davis takes a ball low and away, and for Andy Ashby. It's the second he's allowed since the curtain came down in the regular season.
And on the 50th pitch in an inning and 2/3, the Yankees increased their lead.
Wow. The 1-0 pitch to Chili Davis.
That pitch was right in Bernie Williams' wheelhouse. One of the things you go over in a scouting report is when you have to attack a hitter with a fastball, what location do you want to throw that pitch? Because there are going to be situations where you have to throw a strike with a fastball. This pitch is down and in, right in Bernie Williams' wheelhouse, and he gets all of it.
And now a ball low to Chili Davis. So last night it was Chuck Knobloch breaking through, then Tino Martinez in the same inning, and tonight Bernie Williams, who came in to that at bat 8 out of 37 in the postseason. Time seemingly preoccupied, gets his first home run, a 2-run shot to make it 6-0. 2-2 on Chili Davis. In good company for Bernie Williams. Most career postseason home runs. He gets his first of 1998 and the 9th in his career, although with many more chances compared to those on the list in front of Bernie Williams. Chili Davis strikes out. It's the first strikeout for Andy Ashby, but 3 more runs for the Yankees. They lead by 6. Back after this from your local Fox station. Melrose Place's Rob Estes and Kelly Rutherford are enjoying the World Series Game 2. But tomorrow night they'll jump into action when Fox raises the hemlines for Miniskirt Monday. Don't miss it tomorrow night on an all-new Melrose Place. I think it's one Yankee hat that they're all passing to one another to make their World Series debuts. Last night, Callista Flockhart is here along with many others. Ball 1 to Kilvio Veras. Now strike 1. 1-1 on the leadoff hitter. Veras with Gwynn and Vaughn to follow. That's strike 2. It is obvious to say for Orlando Hernandez that making a postseason start is not pressure. Pressure is climbing into a makeshift raft, leaving your family behind in your home country to battle the seas and try to eventually end up in the big leagues. That's obvious. But in a way, it almost degrades the type of pitching and the type of baseball and competition that he was involved in his homeland in Cuba. I mean, you're looking at the top pitcher on the Cuban national team with heavy pressure situations, and a guy who won 129 games and lost only 47. As Veras fouls it back 2-2. I mean, you talk about Cuba, guys. It's, to some, the cradle of baseball in the Caribbean, and baseball dates back into the 19th century. And they don't take those games any more lightly than we all take the World Series, as Hernandez has been involved in intense situations on the mound before in his life. But this is not pressure compared to his journey here eventually to Yankee Stadium, as he strikes out Kilvio Veras, 4th strikeout. And the first out here in the 3rd inning. In walks Tony Gwynn, and here are his thoughts on playing in historic Yankee Stadium.
This is history. You know, this is where, you know, Babe Ruth played. This is where Joe DiMaggio played. Lou Gehrig. I mean, there's been so many great Yankees to play here. And when you turn the corner and you see Babe Ruth, you know, it's Babe Ruth. And so it hit me pretty hard. As you start to walk around, you see Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Thurman Munson, and on and on and on. It's almost like being at the Hall of Fame.
Place where Tony Gwynn will eventually end up in Cooperstown. If he has been in awe, it hasn't shown at the plate. He's already 1 for 1 tonight in the series, 4 out of 5. There's the monument for Babe Ruth. Strike 2 on Tony Gwynn.
You get the feeling if George Herman Ruth weren't nicknamed the Babe, they probably would have called him Boomer. And vice versa. If David Wells wasn't the boomer, he would have been Babe.
That's right. Babe just got it first. 1 out, nobody on. A ball and 2 strikes on Gwynn. 2-2. It's neat to hear a guy like Gwynn and his respect for baseball history, and we talk about Wells and his respect for baseball history, and particularly Babe Ruth in the Yankee tradition. As Gwynn pops it into left field for Leday. 2 out. So few players, young players in any professional sport, know so little about the history of that sport, and that's not the case with Gwynn or Wells.
San Diego trying to build a tradition. It's going to be a long time before any team builds the tradition that the Yankees have built. The 90th World Series game played here in Yankee Stadium. Team of the century? Well, don't know yet.
They've had 23 world championships. 23rd they owned back in 1996. And when you make the comment, Tim, about you don't know yet, you're talking about this version of the Yankees, the 1998 team. As Vaughn pops it up down the left field line for Jeter, and the Padres go in order in the 3rd. Bottom of the 3rd inning rolls around. Yankees bat. Martinez, Brocious, Posada coming up. 6-0 Yanks. Andy Ashby back to work, back to the hill. Bottom of the 3rd inning with the bottom part of the order coming up. 6, 7, and 8 for the Yankees, starting with Tino Martinez. He starts with ball 1. Martinez, a single his first time up. His last couple of swings have been awfully good. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pitch from Ashby, strike 2.
Hit a couple balls well, like Tino Martinez has done in his last 2 at bats. Get that confidence back. That is a huge difference. That check up from the neck up.
Up the middle and through. Tino Martinez is 2 for 2 tonight. 3 for his last 3, dating back to last night's Grand Slam. Well, folks, watch for the Gillette Mach 3 Strike Zone Challenge prior to Game 4 in San Diego, the 1998 World Series, where you will see one lucky fan get the chance to throw a pitch for $2 million. Gillette will donate $1 million to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. In addition to the $1 million, Gillette will pay the Strike Zone Challenge winner. That's before Game 4 in San Diego, as Brocious lines a base hit into left. And the bottom of the order doing damage for the Yankees. Brocious 2 for 2.
Which was up around the letters to Scott Brocious. Jumps on the first pitch he sees, lines it into left field. You know, going back to that Tino Martinez at bat, the good signs just keep coming. He's turned on a couple of fastballs, pulled them hard into right field. That base hit up the middle was a changeup, down and away from him. He stayed on it, went back up the middle of the field, was not fooled at all.
And an awkward situation always for a catcher when he's told by the bench. You could see Dave Stewart telling Greg Myers to go out and talk to him. Here it is right here, trying to get his attention. Look at Dave Stewart on the left of your screen, going out to talk to him, and that puts trying to build up the confidence between the pitcher and the catcher, and that doesn't help.
2 on with nobody out. Posada to Veras. They get the middleman and turn them both. 4-6-3. And it's a runner at 3rd with 2 down. A nicely turned double play between Veras and Gomez.
Second baseman usually tries to give the shortstop a throw to the outfield side so he can elude the runner better. Nicely done by Veras. Very deliberate throw. Outside part of the bag and turned nicely by Gomez.
And the reason Veras could be a little more deliberate on this play, he knew who was running. That Jorge Posada, the catcher running down that first baseline, does not have the best speed on this Yankees roster, so he took his time and made sure to make a good throw.
A ball now to Ricky Leday, who's a mere 3 out of 4 in World Series play. There's Martinez at third with 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike as Ashby tries to hang in there. The Yankees leading by 6 here in the third. A lot of pitches, 63, and he hasn't even finished off 3 innings. Only 3 earned runs of the 6 scored by the Yankees. 2-1. Missing outside, 3-1 on Leday. Runner at third, 2 down. Leday down the left field line, another hit into the corner. In to score Martinez. It's an RBI double for Ricky Leday, and it's 7-0 Yankees. Ricky Leday has had 6 plate appearances in this World Series, and he has reached base 6 times.
Well, we've seen him turn on fastballs and pull them into right field. This time he goes the opposite way.
Right now for the Yankees, 7 is the number. It was last night. 7 runs in the 7th inning. And they have already knocked out San Diego starter Andy Ashby with 7 runs on 10 hits. We're in the third. Boehringer enters. 7 runs allowed by Ashby. 3 were unearned, but that is of little consequence to Ashby or the Padres. It's 7-0. The Yankees lead in the 3rd inning. Runner at second, Leday, and Knobloch. Strike 1. Ryan Boehringer, the new pitcher for the Padres.
Boehringer's job is to try to put some zeros on that board, give his offense a chance to try to crawl back into this ball game.
Boehringer worked a 1/3 of an inning here last night. He has 2 strikes on Knobloch here.
Still a lot of time left, but the Padres are going up against a pitcher that they have not been able to pick up first time through the order.
There's your 7 runs. 6.9 per game for the Yankees in support of Orlando Hernandez. They've scored 7. Runner at second, 2 out. 3 consecutive foul balls off the bat of Chuck Knobloch.
I guess Padre fans can go back to the 1996 World Series when the Atlanta Braves beat the New York Yankees in the first 2 games here at Yankee Stadium, 12-1 and 4-0. And then went down to Atlanta and won 3 in a row, did the Yankees, and clinched it back here in Game 6.
The 0-2. Ball and 2 strikes to Knobloch. We've talked to Joe Torre about the atmosphere back in San Diego. These Yankee players sure have seen on TV, but aren't fully aware of the kind of atmosphere they're going to be surrounded with on Tuesday night. Another foul from Knobloch. As electric an atmosphere as we have seen here at Yankee Stadium or at Jacobs Field in Cleveland.
Electricity in the twilight. Those games will be starting at 5 o'clock out there. Tough to see.
Runner at second, Leday, 2 out, a ball and 2 strikes on Knobloch. Outside corner, and Boehringer rings up Chuck Knobloch. He closes out the 3rd, and as we go to the 4th inning, Ashby is finished. The Yankees lead by 7. Ken Caminiti leads off in the 4th inning. It's 7-0 Yankees. 7 runs on 10 hits for New York. No runs on 2 hits for the Padres. Caminiti struck out his first time up. We intend to detail that strikeout. As Caminiti takes low, it's 2-0. Joyner will follow, and then Finley as the Padres trying to crawl back into this game right now. Shut out on only 2 hits. For the first baseman, Martinez, 1 down.
Well, the book on Ken Caminiti in the National League is pitch him away early in the count, jam him inside late in the count. Let's watch what Hernandez does here on the pitch placement chart. First pitch is a breaking ball on the outside corner. Comes back with a sinking fastball on the outside corner, and then in the 0-2 count, a 4-seam fastball down low and inside, and the very stiff, awkward swing by Caminiti. Obviously locked up with that fastball inside.
Caminiti now 0 for 2 after lining out to first to start the 4th. Joyner takes ball 1 low. Wally Joyner flying to right, deep to right, his first time up. Go back to that defensive play by O'Neill. Up against the wall. Didn't pull a home run back, but an extra base hit he took away. And now Joyner to the right side. Robbed again. Chuck Knobloch with a dive to his left. Our Aflac trivia question here in the 4th inning. The Padres and Yankees have combined for 5 home runs. They did that last night. What is the record for most home runs combined in a World Series game? Last night it was 5. 2 out, nobody on as Finley rips it foul.
First, Paul O'Neill robbing Wally Joyner, and now Chuck Knobloch held on to the ball when he hit the ground and made the throw. Nice play.
That's not always an easy play for a second baseman. They use such a small glove. There's very little pocket there. Many times when they hit the ground, that ball will trickle out of the glove, but that time Knobloch able to hold on.
To the right side again, Tino Martinez to El Duque for the out. Score it 3-1. That's 8 in a row retired by the rookie right-hander. Yankees lead by 7, bottom of the 4th. Bottom of the 4th inning as we check out Scott Wolf. Stars in Fox's Wednesday night drama Party of 5. He co-stars with 2 young actresses that are in movies today, Neve Campbell and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Party of 5 returns Wednesday, October 28th, right here on Fox. Starting to realize that it's a good thing that Fox has a couple of animated hits, or none of us would get tickets. Jeter first up here in the 4th inning, 7-0 Yankees.
What do you think, Bobby?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Strike 2 over the outside corner to Jeter.
No, if Hank Hill was here, he'd be sitting right up here next to us with a propane heater going.
O'Neill and Williams will follow here in the 4th inning. Yankees lead 7 runs on 10 hits. Bullringer closed out the 3rd inning by striking out Knobloch. Has a 1-2 count on Jeter. Up the middle, off the glove of Gomez and into center. Jeter's 2 out of 3 as he starts the 4th inning with a single. Our Aflac trivia question. The Padres and Yankees combined for 5 home runs last night. It's the record for the most home runs combined in a World Series game.
Game 7 of the 1960 World Series. That's my guess.
1989 series. I was there in uniform. Wasn't on the active roster, but I was on the bench for the Giants when Oakland pounded 5 home runs. The Giants hit 2.
And that's our Aflac trivia answer. 7 home runs total. Game 3 of the 1989 World Series. A series Oakland won 4 games to none.
That was the Earthquake series. Last night, the 9th anniversary of that horrible happening in San Francisco. And Game 3 resumed after a 10-day hiatus called by then-Commissioner Fay Vincent. That is a change-up grip right there.
And a changeup to O'Neill is called for a strike, 1-1.
Normally you don't see a guy go behind his back with the same grip that he's going to have in the glove. The reason for that is he is facing the first base coach right now. And if you get in the habit of doing that, then they pick your pitches up very easily.
And again, he showed the grip, throws a changeup. It's 2-1.
Most pitchers that need to get to an unusual grip like that changeup or a split finger fastball, it's much easier to go ahead, get that changeup grip on the ball and change to a normal fastball grip than it is to do the other way. Have a fastball grip and change to the changeup. You see a lot of guys that throw a split finger will get the split finger grip on the ball as they take their sign, go into their set position, and if they change, they go from that.
Jose Cardinal on your left, the first base coach for the Yankees, and the grip on your right, Ryan Boehringer. 3 balls and a strike on O'Neill. Full count, 3-2.
Our center field camera so many times has picked up Greg Maddux, who is a master at changing those fingers around. The index finger, the middle finger, and the ring finger. You can almost see his fingers doing his thinking for him.
3-2 on O'Neill. Jeter is running, and O'Neill chops to short. Padres will only get 1 out at first by starting the runner. The Yankees avoid the double play, and it's Jeter at second with 1 out. That'll bring in Bernie Williams, who went deep. His first postseason home run in this action for the Yankees as he took one low and rode it over the wall in right center field. And gets his first of 1998. 1 out of 2 tonight. A strike to Williams. You can see he didn't change the grip on that pitch in the glove, and it was a changeup.
There are different ways to throw the changeup. Some pitchers use the circle change where the index finger and the thumb come together. They throw it with their last 3 fingers, not Boehringer. Very important to have the same arm motion with that changeup. That's really what it is. It's a change in the grip, not a change in the delivery. You have the same arm motion as the fastball, and the ball doesn't do the same thing, simply said.
If you find a pitcher throwing a changeup and slowing down his motion, those are the balls that get hit a long way.
That's the easiest thing for a veteran hitter to pick up off a rookie pitcher or a young pitcher. They think by speeding up the body, it's going to fool you. It doesn't.
0-2 on Williams, 1-2.
Boehringer starting with that changeup grip behind his back. And then here's the arm motion. Everything the same as a regular fastball. But with that grip, there's no way you can throw it with the same velocity as your fastball.
Runner at second is Jeter. 1 out, a ball and 2 strikes on Bernie Williams. Into center field for Finley. To his right, 2 out. So a leadoff hit, then O'Neill grounded out. Williams flied out. Chili Davis will get a shot at driving in a run. He did so back in the first inning, later scored a run, and he struck out since then. Ashby still watching from San Diego dugout as Boehringer brings it to Chili Davis. A strike over the inside corner. Joe Buck, Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver with you. 9:30 on the scoreboard clock here at Yankee Stadium. Padres threatened in the first inning, didn't get anything. The Yankees got 3 unearned runs in the first, 3 more in the second, 1 in the third. Knocked out Andy Ashby, the starter for San Diego, in that third inning. Now the 0-1 from Boehringer. Strike 2 on Chili Davis.
Generally, when teams get Chili Davis in a 2-strike hold, they go up the ladder with that 4-seam fastball above the belt, try to get him to chase a pitch up high out of the strike zone. Chili is widely recognized as an outstanding low ball hitter from the left side of the plate.
Myers and Bullringer having trouble getting together on a sign.
And it always takes a little longer with the runner at second base. As a catcher, you have to go through a series of signs so that runner at second doesn't relay to the hitter what pitch you're going to throw.
Here's the 0-2. Ball and 2 strikes. The San Diego Padres last night fell behind early, battled back, had a 3-run lead as late as the 7th inning. And then a 7-run 7th inning was stunning for the Padres. Electrifying for the Yankees. And here they are with 7 runs already in game 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Chili Davis.
Thing about the Padres coming into last night's game, they had won 5 of 6 games in the playoffs on the road. The only game they lost was that game in Houston, 5-4 on the Bill Spires hit. That was game 2 of the division series.
Here's the 2-2 to Davis. Do it again. Then you've got the Yankees, who took care of the Texas Rangers, dominating pitching. Went through Texas 3 and out, allowing only 1 run along the way. And at one point trailed 2-1 in the ALCS against the Indians, with tonight's pitcher Hernandez on the mound. Battled back 2-2 and then won the next 2. 1 in Cleveland, 1 here at Yankee Stadium to move to the World Series. The 2-2 to Davis, 3-2. David Wells, the MVP of that American League Championship Series. But no bigger start than the one made by Orlando Hernandez, and because he was so effective, it bought him game 2 of the World Series and maybe game 6. If this series goes that long. Instead of Andy Pettitte. As Davis takes strike 3. Thought he had drawn a walk. That's the final out here in the 4th inning. Second strikeout for Bullringer, and the Yankees do not score. 7-0 New York. It off down below, up above. Over the past 70 years, millions have watched the Goodyear blimps hovering over special events. Goodyear's fleet of 6 blimps now extend over Europe and South America. Celebration of the Tire and Rubber Company's 100th anniversary. Pilot tonight, Pat Henry, is at the controls. Vanderwall takes a ball from El Duque to start the 5th inning. Hernandez has retired 8 in a row. Vanderwall has the last hit for the Padres. Strike 1.
We mentioned throughout this series that John Vanderwall throughout his career has been known as a pinch hitter deluxe. Just to give you an idea, in his best season offensively with the Colorado Rockies back in 1995, he hit .347. He was in 105 ball games, had 101 at bats.
That was the year he had 28 pinch hits, the most ever by a major league player in one season.
Struck him out. That's number 5 for Hernandez.
Joe Torre saying that it is not the stuff of Hernandez, but the command. Watch where this pitch is. Right on the outside part, right in the mid of Posada, freezing Vanderwall.
Strike to Myers. Orlando Hernandez has such control that in his first postseason start in Cleveland in game 4, Joe Torre said it took him about an inning, maybe a little over an inning, to figure out where exactly the strike zone was. He worked from the outside into the strike zone to catch the limit of the strike zone, so he knows how far he can go over the outside corner and still get a strike. Strike 2 on Myers.
Really, which is the opposite of what most pitchers do. They start in the strike zone and will try to lead the hitters outside off of the corner until the umpire draws that line in the dirt and said that's far enough. Good change up there.
Get ahead with strikes, get them out with balls. That's usually how pitchers approach hitters.
Hernandez missed the corner there. It's 2-2. Now 3-2. Myers, the number 8 hitter, with Gomez on deck. Back-to-back strikeouts, 6 on the night. Joe Torre, the manager of the Yankees, guided the team to a world championship in 1996. Here are his thoughts on the differences between then and now.
It's a little more relaxing, even though when you get in that dugout, that mouse is going to run around that wheel in your stomach all the time. But Darryl Strawberry, I mean, he's our inspiration this year. We miss him. We miss having him here. He's out of the hospital. We're pleased about that. The prognosis is wonderful, and the players love talking to him and feeling his presence.
Gomez lines a base hit into right center field. Takes a bounce, kicks into the alley, and now Bernie Williams kicks it to the wall as Gomez will dig for third and make it with 2 out. That breaks the string of 10 in a row retired by El Duque. And we'll see how they score it. Either a double and an error or a straight triple for Chris Gomez.
Looked like a mix-up between Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams. This ball slicing away from Williams. He tries to slide and make the catch off the heel of the glove, and that allows Chris Gomez to go to third base. So a triple for Chris Gomez.
Real good look from the super shot. Bernie Williams had the glove down there in position. The ball just hit the heel, bounced away, allowing Gomez to advance to third base.
It is a triple, no error, and now a strike to Kilvio Veras, who will try to put San Diego on the scoreboard. Veras has driven in 2 runs in this postseason. 1 out of 6 in the World Series. 1 ball, 1 strike.
When you're trailing by 7 runs in the middle innings, normally it's easier to hit because most of the pitches you get are predictable because the pitcher doesn't want to walk you. It's different with Hernandez.
2 balls and a strike.
He's pitching the same game as if the score were 0-0 here.
And if anything, he's adding more pitches. He's throwing more straight changeups now than he did the first time through the order. Really mixing it up well.
Veras, a broken bat, base hit down the right field line. In to score is Gomez. Veras ends up at second with an RBI double. It's 7-1 New York here in the 5th inning.
Veras gets jammed with this pitch, hits it right off the fist, just over Tino Martinez. The ball hits the tarp, takes a carom directly to Paul O'Neill. I think O'Neill was caught by surprise that Veras was going for 2. Veras, one of the few guys on this Padres roster with good enough speed to try something like this.
Trading a bat for a hit. You'll do that any day, and I think you're right. I think O'Neill realizing that the Padres were trailing by 6, not going to take chances. But Veras did with 2 outs.
And a big play with Gwynn coming up, but now the comebacker to Hernandez makes the play off the mound, and Gwynn is 1 for 3. The Padres get their first run of Game 2. They lead their 4th, and after 4.5, 7-1 New York. Back here in the Bronx, Tino Martinez, first pitch swinging against Boehringer, fouls it away, strike 1. Bottom of the 5th inning. And the Yankees lead it 7-1. Martinez already 2 for 2 tonight, 3 for his last 3. The grand slam in the 7th inning last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. You can bet that Chris Chambliss, the hitting instructor, likes what he sees The last few swings from Tino Martinez, and he'll be dialed in watching Martinez in his third at bat tonight. 2 balls and a strike.
I'd be smiling too if I was the hitting coach of this Yankees team.
They hit 288 as a team during the regular season, hit 207 home runs. Martinez pops it up. Caminiti, 1 away. Martinez retired for the first time tonight. We look at our game summary brought to you by MCI. Ken Caminiti, a big error in the first inning, 3 unearned runs. Derek Jeter, an RBI single in the second. Tonight he's 2 out of 3. Bernie Williams, his first home run of this postseason, a 2-run shot in the second. Ricky Leday, 2 for 2 tonight. He's been all over the bases in the first 2 games, and Kilvio Veras has the only San Diego RBI. Scott Brosius now. Bo Ringer has quietly done a good job entering in the 3rd inning, striking out Knobloch, getting around a leadoff hit in the 4th inning, and he got the leadoff man Martinez here in the 5th. To the left side and through past Caminiti, and Brosius is 3 for 3.
Kind of surprised to see Bo Ringer come back inside with a fastball when he's behind in the count. Greg Myers initially had called for a slider away, then a fastball away. Bo Ringer shook both of those off to get to a fastball inside. Get a look from Super Shot at the effort by Ken Caminiti. Just misses the glove.
You're right, Joe. Ken Caminiti, that big error in the first inning, the 3 unearned runs. But infielders in particular are more inclined to make an error when a team is running against them. And Joe Torre allowing his runners 2 hit-and-run plays. You get that feeling of urgency instead of a relaxed feeling if you're an infielder when teams are running all over the place.
The 0-1 to Posada just missed him. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters for the Yankees in game 2 are a combined 7 out of 10. Posada, the number 8 hitter, is 0 for 2 as he just got out of the way. One ball, 1 strike. Posada fouls it away for strike 2.
Yankees have an odd platooning situation behind the plate. Posada's the number 1 catcher. Joe Girardi will catch David Cone in all probability on Tuesday. But Posada's best side is his right side. He hit .357 as a right-handed batter. Of course, Girardi's a right-handed hitter. So the Yankees, you try to look for dents in their armor. You can't find many.
Posada into deep right center field. Trent Wall, another home run, and it's 9-1 New York.
Man, only a .228 hitter from the left side this year. That's where his power is, and he just showed it. Fastball out over the plate. He unloaded on one.
Ideal situation for the Yankees. Get a look at that pitch out over the plate and down. A veteran catcher like Joe Girardi that handles pitchers so well. Has been around the game for so many years. The youngster Jorge Posada coming up. Obviously the catcher not only of this year but the future for the Yankees. Very good working relationship between those 2 men.
Yankees have hit 4 home runs in 13 and a third innings so far. 2 last night in the 7th. They have 2 tonight. 1 by Bernie Williams in the 2nd, and here in the 5th inning, the 2-run shot by Posada, who has his first hit. Strike 2 on Leday, who, as I mentioned earlier, has reached base in 6 consecutive plate appearances. Tonight 2 for 2. 2-2 the count. Full count on Leday.
9 runs last night, 9 runs tonight.
They're in a rut.
Boring, huh?
Yeah.
The Yankees have now equaled in their last 3 games their run production in the first 8 games of this postseason. Batting average way up. Average with runners in scoring position way up. Leday draws a walk, and that is 7 plate appearances, 7 consecutive trips at least down to first for Ricky Leday. Last night was 2 for 2 plus a walk, plus he reached on an error. And tonight a single, double, an RBI, and now a walk.
Sterling Hitchcock charting the pitches in this ball game. He will be game 3 starter back in San Diego on Tuesday evening.
One on, one out. Ball 1 to Knobloch.
And the reason pitching coaches have the next day starting pitcher do that, you get an idea of what pitches are being hit in what counts, what locations, to try to give you a better idea going into your start against the same team.
Two 2-0 on Knobloch. Chuck trying to reach base for the 3rd time tonight. Knobloch got the action started back in the 1st with a leadoff walk after falling behind 0-2. Worked an 8-pitch at bat for a walk, stole a base, scored on the error by Caminetti. Question has been raised many times this season about whether this Yankee team is the best or one of the best teams ever assembled, winning 114 games during the regular season. You hear time and time again teams compared to the 27 Yankees. Well, they're not the 27 Yankees. 27 Yankees won 110 games and went on to a world championship, sweeping Pittsburgh 4-0. This 1998 Yankee team, as Knobloch grounds a base hit through the right side, the hits just keep on coming. Leday will stop at second. For a while there, I'm sure this Yankee club wondered if they would be remembered like the 27 Yankees are remembered, or if they'd be remembered at all. People feeling they need the world championship to crown this historic season. They lead 1-0, and here in game 2 lead 9-1.
Well, I think one question has been asked. They're certainly one of the best teams in the history of the game. That question is a no-brainer. They might be the best.
Yeah, and that debate will rage on, as the debates usually do in the game of baseball. Donnie Wall, who was tagged here last night, is into game 2 in the 5th. Comes in with 2 on, 1 out. ERA of 9 in this postseason. 1 save. Saved game 1 of the NLCS against Atlanta. Derek Jeter. Jeter 2 hits tonight, an RBI, a run scored. 3 hits in this World Series. One ball, 1 strike.
Yankees being a little more aggressive this time through the lineup. with the big lead, swinging at some first pitches, going to the plate, looking for that first pitch fastball, and really letting it go. I don't know when they're more dangerous, when they're patient or when they're aggressive.
2-1. Would you call them, Tim, patiently aggressive?
Yeah. They're aggressive in the strike zone and patient just outside the zone. You rarely see them swing at many bad pitches.
2 on, 1 out. 2-2.
Great situational hitters. Try to get ahead in the count. And usually when they do, they don't foul them back. They hit it hard somewhere. Under the tutelage of Chris Chambliss, a terrific hitter in his own right. That famous home run against Mark Littell in the 1976 American League Championship Series. Barely got around the bases.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. A good pitch from Wall. The strikeout. Jeter is retired for the second time tonight. 2 on, 2 out now with 2 runs home for Paul O'Neill. The new Sunday Night Fox comedy, That 70s Show, returns next Sunday. If there's no World Series, Game 7. 2 of its stars, Danny Masterson, Laura Prepon are here tonight. See them throw the party of the year on That 70s Show. An all-new episode next Sunday night, if there is no baseball. 2 on, 2 out for Paul O'Neill. 0 for 3 with a run scored and 0 for 8 in the World Series so far.
Only Yankee regular to be held hitless, Paul O'Neill. Wouldn't have thought that yesterday before game time.
Kilvio Veras charging. Donnie Wall gets out of trouble tonight in Game 2. As the Yankees come up with 2, lead 2, have stranded 6, and lead by 8 after 5. For the 6th inning, it's 9-1. The Yankees leading, and we came in last night talking about a couple of question marks in the Yankee offense. They didn't hit much in the ALCS. Hit only .218, but they exploded in the 7th inning last night, and they've done it here in Game 2.
They found the formula.
Whatever it takes. I'll tell you, whether it's Chris Chambliss or just the experience of having such a successful '98 season, it's carried right over into the postseason, at least in the last 2 ball games.
Now Greg Vaughn, the number 3 hitter in the DH. He's 0 for 1 with a walk and a pop-up. Leads off the 6th inning for San Diego. Back behind the plate, now to play. 1 ball, 1 strike. The numbers for El Duque: 80 pitches, 1 run on 4 hits in 5 innings. Vaughn on 1-1. Sidearm from Hernandez, strike 2.
Saw Jeff Nelson have some success against Vaughn in last night's game, throwing that Laredo slider on the outside corner, and then broke his bat with a hard sidearm sinker inside. Appears to be the book on Greg Vaughn. Throw him a sidearm breaking ball and then jam him with a sidearm fastball.
It's Jeff Nelson out in the Yankee bullpen. He worked here last night. Yankee bullpen last night allowed 1 unearned run. That was it, backing up David Wells. Not much of a swing from Vaughn. He was fooled, and he becomes the 7th strikeout victim for Hernandez.
Further indication that they are just not picking up Orlando Hernandez. You can see Vaughn waiting flat-footed with a flat-footed swing. You do not see Greg Vaughn, a guy with 50 home runs this year, swing like that often. 2 home runs in last night's game. Just overpowered.
As Caminiti is there with strike 1.
We may see some swings like that from both ball clubs, however, in Game 3 in San Diego in the twilight. Similar problems. The Padres hitters having trouble picking up the ball because Hernandez hides it so well.
Caminiti into left field for Leday. 2 up, 2 down. Travel day tomorrow, and then Tuesday is Game 3 of the World Series as the scene will shift to San Diego. And that wild crowd at Qualcomm Stadium, where David Cohn leads the Yankees against NLCS MVP Sterling Hitchcock. And the rest of the Padres, Game 3 of the World Series, beginning Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. You have to start asking yourself as you watch Orlando Hernandez, what have we been missing lately from the island of Cuba? Orlando Hernandez is the older half-brother of Livan Hernandez, last year's World Series MVP. And as the transportation, the communication has been shut off, these players having to risk death to make it to the major leagues. Here's Orlando Hernandez backing up a strong start in the ALCS from Game 4 with a dominating performance against San Diego here in Game 2 of the World Series, and doesn't appear affected by the size of this stage at all. Three balls and a strike.
After Livan Hernandez won 2 games for the Florida Marlins in last year's World Series. David Cohn against Sterling Hitchcock on Tuesday evening.
Joyner takes a strike. It's a full count. Orlando Hernandez, star pitcher for the Cuban national team, a rookie in the major leagues, working in the World Series, and delivering ball 4 high to Wally Joyner's second walk handed out.
A Yankee official told me a story about Orlando Hernandez pitching in Tampa, the spring training headquarters of the Yankees, and he was wild all over the place. And the Yankee official asked Joe Cubas, who is the agent for Hernandez, what was wrong. He said he's not used to the cool weather. It was 75 that day.
Finley pops it up, shallow right, Knobloch out to get it. Inning over. These Yankees had to wonder after Arabu failed to meet expectations last year. They wondered about Orlando Hernandez. Don't worry, he can pitch. Folks, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without expressed written consent. A dominating performance by Orlando Hernandez and a 9-1 Yankee lead as they bat in the bottom of the 6th inning. Bernie Williams takes a strike. He's homered tonight, 1 for 3. Well hit into right on a line and caught by Gwynn. 1 away.
It's the kind of line drive that outfielders usually have trouble with the lights. That ball that never really gets up high enough in the air to get above the lights, but Tony Gwynn able to stay with it, make the basket catch down around knee level, and hang on.
Snow cone at the end.
5-time Gold Glove Award winner. Sporting News is just coming out with a book of the 100 greatest baseball players of this century, and Tony Gwynn is number 49. Number 3 on the list of active players. Behind number 34 Barry Bonds and number 39 Greg Maddux. 1 ball, 1 strike. By the way, the book starts with Babe Ruth. Page 1, number 1.
Henry Aaron, number 2.
Number 2, Willie Mays. I believe Henry Aaron is number 5. And we were talking earlier about the great debate that will rage on about this Yankee team and comparing them to different eras and different teams. You bring out a book like that, you know you're going to get arguments with just about every selection and where they rank. 3 balls and a strike on Chili Davis.
I would imagine it's a subjective list.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? You know.
There are quite a few Yankees, as you might imagine, throughout the pages of that book. 3 balls and a strike. 1 out, nobody on. 3-2 now on Chili Davis.
We were talking several innings ago, between innings, about the retired numbers of the Yankees, and there have been a bevy of them. Only 2 single digits remain. Number 2, Derek Jeter wears it, and number 6 is worn by Joe Torre. Look at this. It's a long walk down that numbered wall.
Well, Joe Torre has typically worn 9 in his career. Got the 2 number 8s.
Bill Dickey and Yogi Berra.
Arnold, DiMaggio, Ruth. Ball 4 is up to Chili Davis. I remember when Joe Torre first came here, you mentioned 6 was open. So he took number 6. He said, I've always worn number 9, so I'm thinking about going out to make pitching changes, walking on my hands. So it looks like a 9. As Tino Martinez steps in after the 1-out walk to Chili Davis.
Number 9 was worn by Roger Maris, and what a tribute to the Maris family before the game tonight.
The entire family on hand to throw out the ceremonial first pitch of the ball game. Got a standing ovation from the crowd here at Yankee Stadium. Quite a moment.
Roger's widow, Pat, was not here, but we understand is doing better. Last time we checked in with the Maris family was in St. Louis when Mark McGwire hit number 62, and she had been in the hospital with some heart trouble, but the Maris family telling you, Tim, that she's doing much better.
Kevin telling me that last night, as a matter of fact. One of the great scenes in sports after McGwire hit the home run. A genuine affection toward the Maris family.
And a Roger Maris Yankee hat with the number 9 on it. They were honored here before the game, and as you said, a touching moment. It'd choke you up. We consider all that their father went through, not just in 1961, but after 1961. As he chased, caught, and surpassed the beloved Babe Ruth here in New York. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Tino Martinez. There's the plaque out in Monument Park. And a look from the Goodyear blimp.
Monument Park always kept spotless out there for visitors before the ball game. Can't say the same for those bullpens just past Monument Park.
1 on, 1 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 3-2 on Tino Martinez.
I don't think I've ever been in a bullpen that was spotless. That's not an adjective that I attach to bullpens.
You could put 27 trash cans in a bullpen and every paper cup will end up on the ground.
Tino Martinez, a line drive base hit into left field, and Tino's now 3 out of 4. A walk and a hit in the inning against Downey Wall.
And think about the hits. Ball down the line, the right field line, a single up the middle, and a single to left. Further indication that Tino Martinez is back in postseason play.
And it's not as though Tino Martinez had never been successful in postseason play. 95 with Seattle against the Yankees. He hit .409 in the division series with a home run and 5 RBIs. Here's Brocious. Strike 1.
But then in his next 129 at-bats as a Yankee, he had only 5 RBIs. 5 RBIs in his first 13 at-bats with Seattle, and 5 over his next 129 at-bats. Before the grand slam last night.
Strike 2 on Brocious.
Willie Randolph flipping a ball up into the stands to a young fan there. Don Zimmer told us a great story before the ball game, how they were messing around a little bit with Willie Randolph, the coaching staff of the Yankees.
Up the middle, Veras. Glove, steps, throws, got them both. The inning-ending double play scored 4-3. We move to the 7th. Back after this word from your local Fox station. After 6 innings, it's a 9-1 Yankee lead in game 2. On Vanderwall, first up, strike 1.
Great shot of Padre fans saying they scored a run tonight.
It is an 8-run Yankee lead with Vanderwall, Myers, Gomez, the bottom 3 in the order, coming up against Orlando Hernandez. Just to finish the point about what have we been missing since the early 60s. The last wave, so to speak, of Cuban players included Jose Cardinal, who's the first base coach for the New York Yankees. A couple of guys who could arguably head to the Hall of Fame, Tony Oliva and Tony Perez, who you could make a strong case for to head to Cooperstown. Such baseball talent on that island and throughout the Caribbean. Orlando Hernandez from Cuba. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Vanderwall.
Orlando is the 8th Cuban-born pitcher in World Series history. Mike Cuellar, great left-hander for the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, Livan Hernandez, Orlando's half-brother. Camilo Pascual, Diego Segui, Luis Tiant, El Tiante.
The 2-2. Vanderwall down the left field line. An extra base hit. Vanderwall has his 2nd of the night. He's 2 out of 3. A single, now a double. So Vanderwall has 2 hits. And we look at the San Diego box score. Veras has 1 hit and the only RBI tonight for San Diego. Win a hit in his first at bat. Couple of walks handed out, 1 to Vaughn, 1 to Joyner, and Gomez, the number 9 hitter, with a 2-out triple and a run scored on the double by Veras. That's it. Right now, Vanderwall at 2nd. The lead off in the 7th inning, and here's Greg Myers.
Well, over the course of a season, there will be games when the bottom of the order can carry a team and score enough runs to win a ball game. But generally, you need to get production out of those guys in the middle. And you can see the Padres have not done it in this game tonight.
Past the Atlanta Braves. Myers pops it up. Ricky Leday. 1 out. Myers is 0 for 3.
Last night, the Yankees scored 9 runs and no hits by Paul O'Neill or Bernie Williams. Most runs ever scored in a World Series game when the 3 and 4 hitter went hitless.
Look up and down the lineup card. In the dugout. You can see the lines made on the left side of the names on the lineup cards as the manager or whoever is in charge of handling the lineup card tracks where the inning ends. And then consequently, who will come up to start the next inning, which obviously plays into pitching changes and pinch hitters, what have you. See Brocious with a 6 and then a line underneath it. He ended the 6th inning just moments ago on the 4-3 double play. 1 ball, 1 strike on Gomez. Vanderwall a leadoff double. Myers flied out. Gomez looking for his first postseason RBI. Sidearm delivery, 1-2. Breaking ball that just missed outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You just very rarely get a comfortable at bat against Hernandez. The different arm angles, the different velocity on the pitches, the different movement on the pitches.
The 2-2 to Gomez. Not a comfortable swing there. He stays alive, 2-2.
Bob, you were talking last night about Kevin Brown, who has nasty stuff, and nasty is certainly good when it refers to a pitcher. Another word that refers to a pitcher that hitters have a tough time with is funky. Orlando Hernandez is funky and nasty.
Where the 70s show people. They still hear the 2-2 pitch is fouled back and out of play.
Yeah, right from his delivery through the movement on his pitches. I mean, the windup is very unique. You don't see anybody in baseball use a similar high leg kick. No. He actually raises up on his right toe as he kicks that leg up in the air. And then that arm comes through at a variety of different angles. Major league hitters are not used to seeing on a regular basis.
Take a look at it live on 2-2 to Gomez. Tim Flannery got in the way. Foul back and out of play.
El Duque also the only Yankee on the field right now with his socks showing, his black socks. Every other Yankee with the trousers, well, the bottoms of the trousers down.
Bob, it kind of adds to Hernandez when he's on the mound and he brings that knee up by his ear. Take a look at those long legs and the black socks underneath the white pinstripe pants. It's more of the look for Hernandez.
Absolutely more of a distraction. If he had those pants all the way down to the shoe tops like the rest of his teammates, it wouldn't have quite the same effect.
From the side, Gomez takes ball 3.
So look at that delivery. Not the high leg kick this time. You'll see the right foot stays down on the ground this time. When he goes to the high leg kick, when he brings that left knee up around his head, that's when that right foot will rock all the way up onto his toes.
Same delivery. A foul to keep it 3-2. Barris next. Sterling Hitchcock in the middle. Will get the ball in game 3 for San Diego. 3-2 pitch. Little flare into center. Williams got a late break, and it's a base hit as it falls in. First and third with only 1 out for San Diego here in the 7th.
Good battling at bat that time by Chris Gomez, able to fight off some of those tougher pitches from Hernandez. And even though he gets jammed badly with this pitch, Bernie Williams, you can see in the top of your picture, just freezes momentarily. Thought the ball was hit harder than it was and comes on late.
Interesting reaction there from El Duque. Upset even with his team up by 8 at 9-1. His palms to the sky. So Bernie Williams did not get a break on that ball at all.
One of the quirky things too, he made a good pitch on Gomez. Gomez just flared one into center.
First and third, 1 out. Barris. Another flare, this time to left. Leday over to get it. Runners will hold at first and third, 2 out.
You can imagine all of the problems coming into a different culture, living in Cuba for most of his life. Fine throw by Leday, a strong throw, and obviously no chance for Vanderwall to try to score. So I'll tell you, one of the more foreign things I would imagine to El Duque here in this country, pitch counts. He has no clue about what a pitch count is. Matter of fact, he said some things to that effect. He could throw all day. Forget about it.
He is one of the better conditioned athletes in the game today.
Yep. Tremendous flexibility, as you might imagine, from that delivery, the high leg kick. It's rumored that he can take that left leg and put it behind his head, stand on one foot.
I heard that same rumor, and an athletic feat. It's a treat to come out here and just watch him warm up before a game.
2 balls, no strikes on Tony Gwynn, who's 1 out of 3 tonight. Padres down by 8. Tony Gwynn trying to make it a little closer. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. And 3-0 the count. There is action, by the way, for the Yankees out in their bullpen. This postseason in 2 games. Game 4 of the ALCS, Game 2 of the World Series. 9 hits in 13 2/3 innings, 1 run. Three and 1 on Gwynn. Bruce Bochy didn't like that call on 3-0. Now the 3-1 pitch. There's ball 4 to load him up for San Diego with Greg Vaughn coming up. Mel Stottlemyre jogs out of the Yankee dugout with Stanton and Mendoza getting ready in the Yankee bullpen.
He's going to give his young pitcher an opportunity to regroup out there on the mound, refocus on what he has to do right here. If a coach or a manager comes out of that dugout and jogs out to the mound, that's usually just an informative meeting, maybe to go over some mechanics or a scouting report, or just to give him a little breather out there.
Here's your pitch count. 113 pitches for Orlando Hernandez. And now with the bases loaded, Hernandez will deal with Greg Vaughn, who had a big night here last night in Game 1. In the 3rd inning, with the Padres trailing 2-0, Greg Vaughn took David Wells into right center field over the wall to tie the game. And then in the 5th inning, after Tony Gwynn hit a 2-run homer, back-to-back with Gwynn and Vaughn, this shot well over the wall and left, and it did stay fair. A 2-homer night last night for Greg Vaughn, and the Padres losing cause, losing 9-6. Bases loaded for Vaughn. We're in the 7th inning. 9-1 New York. That's backing out of play, strike 1.
And against Vaughn, more than any other hitter in the Padres lineup, Hernandez drops down sidearm. Occasionally on the other right-handers, he's dropped down low 3/4, but with Vaughn, nearly every pitch has been sidearm.
Bases loaded, 2 down here in the 7th inning. Another 3/4 sidearm delivery, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Just a little above legitimate sidearm. Very little above it.
Vaughn pops it up. On the infield, who wants it? Jeter. Hitting over. A leadoff double. A 1-out single. A 2-out walk. The Padres leave the bases loaded. 9-1 New York.
Derek Jeter catches this high pop-up off the bat of Greg Vaughn. This is our super shot. I don't know what you call the opposite of a snow cone. This one almost came out of the bottom of the glove. Catches it on the heel, but he's got the bare hand right there to trap it in the glove.
You've had ice cream drop out of the bottom of a cone. That's what that was.
As you see Posada dig in. Explain the name Super Shot. A little different look, as I mentioned earlier. Camera dedicated to catching plays such as that. Close-up shot, slow motion replay, and production staff at Fox dedicated that camera shot and those replays to the legendary Harry Coyle, who is so responsible for innovations in the way baseball has been televised. Basically a one-camera look to multiple cameras, close-ups, what have you, and that is in his honor. 2 balls and a strike. Posada 2-2. Three and 2 on Jorge Posada, who hit a 2-run home run his last time up. That's low for ball 4 and a leadoff walk. Second walk issued by Donnie Wall. We look at the Yankees box score. Tough to keep track of it all, but here it is. Knobloch 2 out of 3. Jeter a couple of hits. Everybody scored a run up and down the lineup with the exception of the number 9 hitter Ricky Leday, who's been involved heavily with 2 singles and a walk. Actually a single, a double for an RBI and a walk. Brocious 3 hits, and Tino Martinez, after hitting the grand slam in game 1, has a 3-for-4 night working. Here's Leday. Ball from Donnie Wall.
Joe Torre reiterating before the game tonight what he has said so often about this Yankee team. Regardless of the score, one way or the other, lopsided or not, none of the guys in that 9-man lineup give up an at-bat. And another indication tonight that is so true.
Into right field, rather well hit, but Gwynn back to get it, 1 out.
Stop the presses. Leday made an out.
The first time in 8 plate appearances in the World Series that Leday has not reached base.
Well, at least they have a book on him now. Throw him a fastball and let him hit a line drive to the warning track in right. That's how you get him out.
That's right. To go back to the point that you made, Tim, Bob, we talked to Joe Torre earlier in the season. People wondered if the Yankees, who were just running away with the American League East, would continue to stay motivated, and if it was a danger not being tested during the regular season, really throughout the regular season when you think about it, severely tested. And Joe Torre said, I have a group of guys that you don't have to worry about. Guys like O'Neill and Williams and Martinez, everybody motivated for different reasons, but all motivated nonetheless.
Well, generally the younger players look to leadership from the older players, and guys like Paul O'Neill and Tino Martinez, Scott Brocious, those guys are going to grind on a daily basis. You can count on it. And when the younger players see the way the veterans go about their business, they emulate that, and it just flows right down through the entire roster.
Young Shane Spencer, Ricky Leday. What a perfect atmosphere for Derek Jeter to grow up in the big leagues. He and the Yankees have reaped the benefits. Homer Bush. It's 2-1.
Got a shot of Homer Bush right there. We've documented the Yankees starting lineup. What a great season they've had offensively. Even a guy like Homer Bush in limited playing time, 71 at bats on the season, he hit 380. When you get that kind of production from your part-time players, you know you're having a special season.
3 balls and a strike.
Afford to carry Homer Bush because of his speed. Coming over from the San Diego organization.
Full count now on Knobloch. From Knobloch to Brian Cashman, who eventually will have to sit down and hammer out something new with Chuck Knobloch, who was traded in the middle of a long-term contract and can declare himself a free agent if something isn't worked out. There were reports earlier that something had been done, and if that's the case, it at least hasn't been announced. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Brian Cashman has handled himself so well this year and under the intense pressure. Didn't feel the pressure enough to pull the trigger on any deal for Randy Johnson, and that has paid off in this postseason, and you would have to believe in years to come, by not emptying out more of the young prospects to get potential free agent Randy Johnson. A walk to Knobloch.
Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, 31 years old.
Younger than so many of the players on the active roster of the New York Yankees.
Right. The winners laugh and tell jokes. That's what Brian's doing right now.
Now Dave Stewart out to talk. Kevin Towers, we've already documented the job that he has done. A great job in San Diego. By the way, Brian Cashman only wanted a one-year deal himself. So let me see how it goes. Let me see how it works. See how I do. And here the Yankees are in the World Series, up 1-0 and leading 9-1 in Game 2.
So Brian Cashman's a free agent too?
In a way.
In a way. It has to be an unusual situation when a veteran player goes in to negotiate a contract and Brian Cashman says, geez, I used to watch you play when I was a kid.
I have your baseball cards.
Yeah. 2 on, 1 out. For the number 2 hitter in the Yankee order, Derek Jeter. It's down the line, but slicing foul. Don't forget, Tuesday, after a travel day tomorrow, Game 3 of the World Series as we all head to San Diego. David Cone against Sterling Hitchcock, the NLCS MVP against the Yankees. Come your way Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. Strike 2 on Jeter.
A lot of different things went into Joe Torre's decision to start Orlando Hernandez in the ball game tonight and save David Cone for the first game in San Diego. You can never predict the weather in New York at this time of year, but Joe Torre was anticipating cooler weather, felt it would be more beneficial for David Cone to start in San Diego in the warm weather, and that coupled with the fact that Hernandez is 8-1 here at Yankee Stadium, 4-3 on the road this year, made his decision fairly easy.
Dan Maselli, who didn't work last night, getting ready as Jeter hits a comebacker to play. 1-6-3 for the double play. The inning-ending double play off the bat of Jeter, nicely turned by the Padres through 7, 9-1 Yankees. Well, whenever the Goodyear blimp is hovering above with its camera focused on the event, you know you're going to get a unique view. Tonight, it's the Spirit of Akron. You can find out more about the Goodyear blimps on the internet at Goodyear.com. We welcome you back. Game 2, 8th inning. The second pitcher of the night, Mike Stanton, the left-hander. After an overwhelming performance by Orlando Hernandez, 7 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts.
Well, Joe Torre said he had a lot of confidence in the young man, that he would not be overmatched in this situation, and Hernandez certainly did not let his manager down tonight.
Merv Rettenman is the hitting coach for the San Diego Padres, wearing a microphone for his hitters. He scouts the left-hander Stanton.
It says here off and on. Same stuff. Fastball, breaking ball, a change. Let's see. Stone will face. He's hot and cold. It threw hard in the series.
Armed with that information, how can you not get a hit? Hot and cold, fastball, slider change. Go get him.
Hit what you see.
Caminetti hasn't done a lot of that. He's 0 for 3. He rips it down the left field line. Why not? After the scouting report, Caminetti has a ground rule double. Caminetti 1 for 4 tonight. Was 0 for 3 last night. That's his first World Series hit.
Sometimes it's good to get back to good old-fashioned country hardball. Hit what you see.
We've had Merv Rettenman and Mike throughout the postseason, and generally that's the advice he gives.
Yeah,
Go up there
true.
and look for a good pitch and hit it hard back up the middle of the field. Keep it simple.
Here's Jim Leyritz off the bench for San Diego, facing Stanton. Some heat from the left-hander for strike 1. Joyner being lifted for the pinch hitter Leyritz. 7 postseason home runs. The short career of Jim Leyritz. That's 7 postseason home runs. 48 at bats coming into last night's game, 52 coming into this at bat. Last night 0 for 4. 2 balls and a strike. Ruben Rivera getting loose in the San Diego dugout as Leyritz bats in front of Finley. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Hard to believe a man with the type of postseason success that Leyritz has had has seen 4 different ball clubs since '96. The Angels, the Rangers, the Red Sox, and now San Diego.
Leyritz strikes out on a pitch inside, and that's the first out here in the top of the 8th.
Like a cut fastball inside here from Mike Stanton. Starts on the inside part of the plate and just slides in a little bit, enough to tie up Jim Leyritz on that inside part.
So Leyritz, the pinch hitter, is gone, and now with 1 on 1 out, the batter's Finley. You talked about it last night, Bob, the difference in the bullpens. San Diego with 2 left-handers out in their pen, the Yankees with 2 in their pen. But Stanton a little different than what the Padres can throw at you with Randy Myers and Mark Langston.
A little more velocity from Stanton. One of the left-handed relievers out of that Yankees bullpen. Graham Lloyd, the other guy, more of a sinker slider type of a pitcher, more of a ground ball pitcher should Joe Torre need a double play ball in a tight situation. Stanton more of a fly ball strikeout pitcher.
The 1-1. Strike 2. The man with 2 hats.
Well, it won't rain on his ears. We know that.
He did that or Napoleon impersonation.
Ball and 2 strikes on Finley. Another thing Stanton will do is work inside, as he proved with Leyritz at the plate. See what he does with Finley. Runner at second, 1 out. Staying away, staying at 1 and 2.
Steve Finley, a pull hitter. 99 of his hits went to right field this year. That is an excellent point, a point brought out last night, that both Stanton and Graham Lloyd will work inside. The 2 left-handers in the Padre bullpen, Randy Myers and Mark Langston, work away from left-handed batters.
The 1-2. 2-2. We're getting to that point in the game, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
This is less is more in my book. Layout time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second, 1 out. Full count. Ruben Rivera now on deck. Stanton gave up a leadoff double to Caminiti. Leyritz struck out. Finley with a full count. Slow roller to Knobloch. The barehanded pickup for the out. 2 gone in the Padre 8th.
I didn't think Knobloch had a chance to get the speedy Steve Finley, but Knobloch using his speed right here, and our super shot camera picks up the barehanded pickup.
Boy, that is a nice play. That was not a softly hit ball. I mean, normally a bare hand is when the ball is almost stopped rolling or a high hopper. That ball was hit relatively hard and on a tough hop, and he made a great barehanded play.
And now Ruben Rivera, the cousin of Mariano Rivera, who got the save in last night's game and is the closer for Joe Torre's Yankees. Strike one. Ruben Rivera, part of the Hideki Arabu deal. One ball, one strike is Mariano Rivera. Ruben's cousin looks on from behind the wall in the Yankee bullpen. Into left field, pretty well hit. Back is Leday at the wall, off the top of the wall. In to score is Caminetti. Holding at second with an RBI double, Ruben Rivera, and it's a 9-2 Yankee lead.
I know you can hear me. 3 more feet, and that ball's out of here. Ruben Rivera's first World Series at bat.
He almost hit it to his cousin in that Yankee bullpen out there. Yeah, Ruben Rivera got off to a great start this year. See that ball hitting at the very top of the left field fence.
I said 3 feet. Try 3 inches.
I mentioned Rivera got off to a great start this year, and then his name was mentioned as a possible trade candidate to acquire Randy Johnson. Padres did not want to give up Ruben Rivera, a 5-tool player that they envision as perhaps their center fielder of the future. And he said that after that time, he put a lot of pressure on himself to produce. Finished the season very slowly, hitting under 200 the last 2 months.
Carlos Hernandez now off the bench, takes a strike, batting for Greg Myers. Third pinch hitter of the inning for Bruce Bochy and the Padres. 1 run in, 7-run Yankee lead. Ruben Rivera at second with 2 out, and the 0-1 to Carlos Hernandez. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Those 5 tools, by the way: hit for power, run, throw, and field. Nobody had better tools in those areas, in my opinion, than Willie Mays, best player I ever saw.
1 ball, 1 strike. Big swing by Hernandez, strike 2. The 5-tool category, I don't think you'd get much argument selecting May. Graham Lloyd and Jeff Nelson now getting loose in the Yankee bullpen. Two balls, 2 strikes. The masked Yankee Avenger.
I saw that guy outside our hotel last night.
Really? I'd like to see our production crew put catcher cam on that mask.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hernandez down the left field line. Leday into the corner. It's a foul ball.
Not a lot of room down in that corner for a ball to be foul and still stay in the ballpark.
Not a lot of room in this ballpark down the lines for 2 umpires to stand out there. Clearly foul is called by Jerry Crawford. Get another pretty good 5-tool player here for the Yankees in Mantle. Probably the top 2 there, Mays and Mantle, that 5-tool player category.
You could throw Henry Aaron in that category too. When he was younger, he could throw and run with the best of them.
Here's the 2-2 to Carlos Hernandez, back up the middle. Now block over the bag, another bare hand, but he can't get the out. What he did do was save a run, and it's 1st and 3rd with 2 out on an infield hit by Carlos Hernandez.
With a 7-run lead in the 8th inning, Knobloch can take a chance on the bare hand play here and try to throw Hernandez out at first. In a closer ball game, you would anticipate him trying to knock that ball down, keep it in the infield. Great effort to throw just a little bit to the outfield side there to Tino Martinez.
Asking Derek Jeter if he had it. I don't think either would have been able to get the out. And now first and third with 2 down for Chris Gomez. He has 2 hits tonight. The ball low. Coming up on 11 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. The Padres with 1 run in, 2 men on, trailing 9-2 in game 2. Lost game 1. Joe Torre makes his way out of the dugout, and Mike Stanton stands there with his hands on his hips. We will have a pitching change. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Third pitcher of the night for the Yankees coming on, with New York leading by 7. Good year is Jeff Nelson, who, as we mentioned last night, had to prove he was healthy with a bulging disc in his back. Had to prove it over the last month. He's in back-to-back games here in the World Series.
Pitched 2/3 of an inning in last night's ball game in relief of David Wells. Gave up a hit, a run, struck out a batter, walked a batter.
Here's Mark Sweeney now, as Joe Torre went to the right-hander Nelson. Sweeney gets his first World Series at bat as he comes off the bench to hit for Gomez.
David Wells in the well.
Last night's starter and winner for the Yankees. Now Nelson deals, and Sweeney gets a base hit to right. In to score is Rivera. Stopping at second is Hernandez, and it's a 9-3 Yankee lead. You can charge that run to Stanton, still responsible for Hernandez on base. And Sweeney did not wait around long in his first World Series at bat.
We know Knobloch has range to his left, gets sprawled out there. Ball just tips off the very end of the thumb of his glove. Maximum effort guy right there.
There's Stanton watching as Nelson, come on, Q, works to the 7th hitter of this inning for San Diego. Leadoff man Kilvio Veras. 2 on, 2 out. Veras 1 hit tonight, 1 RBI. Hernandez and Sweeney aboard for the Padres. Strike 2 from Nelson. For the first time in a while, this crowd makes some noise as the Padres have already scored 2 and have a chance for more. Veras still 0-2.
Mariano Rivera starting to stir around a bit down in that Yankee bullpen.
Veras set up at 0-2. And taken care of by Jeff Nelson. Bottom of the 8th inning, Yankees lead by 6. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. We move to the bottom of the 8th inning of game 2. Ruben Rivera stays in the game in left field. Andy Sheets is the new shortstop as the Padres pinch hit for Chris Gomez. Jim Leyritz now at first base. He pinch hit for Wally Joyner. Carlos Hernandez stays in the game. He behind the plate, catching the new right-hander Dan Maselli.
Maselli getting an inning of work here in tonight's ball game. Tim and I speculated between innings that perhaps Trevor Hoffman would get some work in the ball game tonight. Hasn't pitched since game 6 of the NLCS.
Right back up the middle, and Paul O'Neill gets his first hit of the series. How many balls up the middle have we seen sneak through the infield off Yankee bats tonight?
Well, it just reinforces the fact of what a good hitting team this Yankees club is. Almost every hitting coach in the world will tell you it all comes off of that swing back up the middle. Everything works off of that swing. Not unusual to see the Yankees bunch those hits up the middle of the field.
Fundamentally sound to drive that shoulder right back through the pitcher. That's the image the good hitters have.
Here's Bernie Williams. Bernie's popped a home run tonight, 1 out of 4 at the end of tonight's game. Bob, Tim, and I will select the Chevy Truck player of the game.
You can see Bernie Williams right there, closing his shoulders. George Kissel, the great Cardinal instructor, used to talk about hitting like highway construction. Closed shoulders.
2-0.
You can see a lot of hitters doing that, though. They keep reminding themselves, keep the right shoulder tucked in if you're a left-handed batter, the left shoulder if you're a right-handed batter. And this team does it as well as any in baseball.
(3-0) now from Maselli, who has been the 8th inning setup man from the right side for Trevor Hoffman this season. Last night, Bruce Bochy brought in Donnie Wall in the 7th inning, and then Langston. Each gave up home runs. Wall to Knobloch and Langston to Tino Martinez. 3-1 now on Bernie Williams. Dan Maselli, 4th pitcher of the night for San Diego. Outside corner, 3-2. A leadoff hit by O'Neill. He's running on 3-2, and Williams fouls it away. So with nobody out in a 3-2 count, the Yankees start O'Neill at first. Bernie Williams looking for his 2nd hit of the night. 5th at bat. Runner goes again, and Williams fouls another. O'Neill with some words for Veras. It looked like Veras may have said something as the Yankees start the runner leading by 6 here in the 8th inning.
And knowing the Yankees are going to start the runner at first base, I'm surprised Jim Leyritz has not moved around into a better defensive position, play right behind the runner and then back off to give yourself a little more range on that right side.
And a foul tip, a painful foul tip for Carlos Hernandez.
Looked like it not only caught the chest protector, but the right wrist of Hernandez, who is nursing. Hit him on the left foot. It hit everything like a pinball machine back there.
And that's when a catcher is most exposed, when you come up out of that crouch and try to get yourself into a good position to receive and throw the ball. Many times you expose unpadded areas to that foul tip.
O'Neill should go again. This time he stays put. And Williams fouls it back.
Might be tired.
A look at Trevor Hoffman. Who has been inactive in the first 2 games of this World Series. Here's the role of the DH. Greg Vaughn, even with his teammates in the field, sitting there with his helmet on, getting ready to hit. 2nd in the 9th inning. Not close. Ball 4. A single, a walk. The Yankees have 2 on with nobody out. Chili Davis walks in. The producer of the 1998 World Series is John J. Filippelli, assisted by Michael Weissman. The director is Bill Webb, and the segment producers are Carol Langley and Lance Garrett. Pre-game producer is Gary Lang, and the senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. Executive producers of Fox Sports, David Hill and Ed Gorin. Special thanks as always to Kathy Hunt, Scott Ackerson, Jim Lynch, Scott McQuaid, Jerry Steinberg, Joe Carpenter, Jeff Morello, Peter Sultans, Steve Horn again up here in the booth. 2 on, nobody out, and a ball to Chili Davis. Hideki Arabu getting ready for the 9th inning. Two and 0 as Maselli is really struggling. Arabu, by the way, if he enters in the 9th inning, and it would make all the sense in the world, would be in the postseason for the first time. Last year was inactive. This year has been on the active roster, but unused. 3-0 from Maselli to Chili Davis. Leadoff hit by O'Neill, a walk to Bernie Williams, and the 3-0 pitch. Not close, ball 4 to load him up. Well, Bob, we came on the air tonight talking about this Padre bullpen, which during the regular season was a strength, as Tino Martinez will get another crack at a grand slam. But this bullpen has been exposed here in the postseason, with the exception of Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor Hoffman, and before tonight, Brian Boehringer had done a nice job out of the bullpen for the Padres, but as we chronicled at the top of the show, that is going to be a continuing problem for Dave Stewart and Bruce Bochy throughout this World Series, unless they can get more innings from their starting pitching. But the Yankees offense is going to have something to say about that, as we saw in the ball game tonight, working a lot of deep counts. They ran up the pitch count on Andy Ashby early in the ball game, and Bruce Bochy with no choice but to go to those long relievers in the bullpen.
Homer Bush now running at first base for Chili Davis. Homer Bush from East St. Louis, Illinois, makes his first World Series appearance. And here is Tino Martinez, who hit a grand slam in game 1. That's down the right field line, hooking foul, strike 1.
Doubly dangerous when you take a guy like Martinez, knowing that the pitcher, Dan Maselli, just threw 4 straight balls. Now looking in the middle of the plate, trying to hop on that fastball that he knew was coming, and just pulled it foul.
One ball, 1 strike. No player has ever hit 2 grand slams in World Series play. Tino Martinez a chance. A ball and 2 strikes from Maselli. 7-run 7th inning capped on this grand slam by Tino Martinez in game 1. Made it a 9-5 game at the time, and the Yankees won last night 9-6. That's off the plate. Maselli will come home for the first out of the inning. Everybody moves up 1 station. Bases loaded, 1 away. And a force out, score at 1-2.
Sinking fastball from Maselli. Tino Martinez just hits the top half of the ball, chops it back to the mound. Post ball game, you'd see Paul O'Neill come streaking in there and try to break up 2 at home plate. As a base runner with the bases loaded, a force play at the plate, you're taught to go in there and try to flip the catcher just as you would a second baseman or shortstop in the middle infield.
Mark Langston now getting ready. He's the one that gave up the grand slam to Tino Martinez last night, as Brocious, who was 3 out of 4 with 3 singles, an RBI, and a run scored, is at the plate with the bases loaded. 1 out now. The Yankees have scored 9 runs and hit into 3 double plays tonight. So they've had base runners all over the place. Maselli took too much time, so Brocious hops out. Strike from Maselli.
Thoughts about Darryl Strawberry and his colon cancer out of the hospital and at home, expressed by Joe Torre tonight. Magnified in Scott Brocious's mind. His father, detected with the same malady 3 months ago, was planning on coming to the series, but unfortunately could not make it. He was watching the game in McMinnville, Oregon.
And how proud of Scott Brocious is the Brocious family, coming off a year in which he hit .203, and we mentioned it last night, many on this Yankee Club feel that of all the players, Brocious might be the MVP of a team that won 114 games during the regular season. An American League record. Brocious strikes out, 2 gone. So Maselli getting into trouble and trying to get out of trouble with Posada standing in his way. Jorge, 1 hit tonight, and that was a 2-run home run in the 5th. Strike 1.
Tim Raines constantly stirring things up. Messing around with El Duque there on the bench. I don't even know if they can understand each other, but they're having a good time.
Well, handshakes are the international language, and Tim Raines has 24 handshakes, 1 for each Yankee. Tough to remember all those.
Now, when the roster's expanded, did he add to
the 40-man roster in September? Yeah. I didn't ask him that.
Bases loaded, 2 out. There are the runners aboard. Tim Raines, formerly known officially as Rock Raines. Back to Tim. The 1-1. Posada off the end of the bat into center for Steve Finley. And Maselli got into trouble. Bases loaded, nobody out. Got out of trouble. We go to the 9th inning. Game 2. Yankees in control, leading by 6. Well, Jeff Nelson remains in the game. No Hideki Arabu. As we move to the 9th inning, the Yankees leading 9-3. And the Padres, in their last chance, will have Gwynn, Vaughn, and Caminetti to lead it off. 9-3, New York here in Game 2. Last night, the Yankees won 9-6. 18 runs in the first 2 games by the Yankees, who hit only .218. While winning the ALCS over Cleveland. Here's Gwynn. 1 out of 3 plus a walk. Outside to Gwynn. Bad news for the Padres if you want to play percentages. 75% of teams taking a 2-0 lead in the history of the World Series. Gone on to win the World Series. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But again, the New York Yankees trailed the Atlanta Braves 2-0 going in their park in 1996. One good thing for the Padres, they go back home in front of it once again. One of the best crowds in the game.
Tony Gwynn lines to short, 1 away here in the top of the 9th. On the other side, if this series doesn't go 6 games, these fans here at Yankee Stadium might be looking at their Yankees, who won 114 games during the regular season and are making a charge for their 24th World Championship. Might be looking at them in person in action for the final time, unless this series gets back here next Saturday for Game 6. A strike to Vaughn.
Mentioned earlier in the ball game, Jeff Nelson facing Greg Vaughn last night. 2 sliders on the outside corner and a hard sinker on the 5th. Broke his bat and he tapped back to the mound.
One ball, one strike. It'll be a long flight home for San Diego. They failed to rally here in the 9th inning. But when they get there, and after the travel day tomorrow, the curtain comes up on Game 3 in San Diego. We mentioned it a couple of times, but because it's worth mentioning a couple of times, the home field advantage that the Padres enjoy at Qualcomm Stadium is as good as any home field advantage in baseball. Ball and 2 strikes on Greg Vaughn. To the left side, Brocious. What a pickup. 2 gone.
You spoke volumes with that one comment. What a pickup. Over from Oakland. He has just solidified that infield.
That's the second out here in the 9th inning. And now Caminetti takes a strike. Caminetti with his first World Series hit in his last at bat, a leadoff double and a run scored last inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. The New York Yankees, long methodical march toward a world championship, continuing here in Game 2. 2 balls and a strike on Caminetti. Orlando Hernandez, a rookie by Major League Baseball standards, but not inexperienced. With his history with the Cuban national team, another strong start in the postseason. And now the Padres are down to their final strike. Caminetti a limp after that swing. I don't know if Caminetti remembers how to walk without something hurting. He is constantly in pain, it would seem.
From the looks of the area he grabbed, it appeared to be some kind of a groin injury. He suffered from a pulled groin throughout the majority of this season. Perhaps re-aggravated it.
Certainly not.
Yep, you're right, Bob. You could see him grab that right groin area.
Here comes Bruce Bochy and the trainer for the Padres.
Need a crane to drag Caminetti out of there, but that's exactly what it was. That groin area. No sense in a game like this, a game that's, for the most part, he said he's fine. That's enough. That's it. Now he's a little more adamant about being fine.
Well, after initially straining the groin, it would seem, on the first 2-2 pitch, that last swing, he didn't leave anything there. He just wailed away like nothing was wrong. Two out, nobody on, 9th inning. Yankees leading by 6. Caminetti trying to extend this game 2. Look at Brian Cashman, the Yankee general manager. Game over. And the Yankees are up 2-0. Fernando Hernandez is tonight's Chevy truck player, as he did in Game 4 of the ALCS. Tonight, 1 run on 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, in control from the start. And many fans hanging around in case this series doesn't go 6, giving a standing ovation for the many memories of 1998, the 114 regular season victories, and now 123 wins in all. Let's take you down now to the field and Chip Caray. Chip.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. We're here with Yankee shortstop Derek Jeter. You're halfway home to your goal of another world championship, but I know you and the rest of your teammates would agree there's still some work to be done.
A lot of work to be done. If you recall, in 1996, we were down 2 games. We were able to come back. So San Diego's not out of it. They're going to play us tough in their park, so we got to come out and take Game 3 like it's Game 7.
Hard to believe this could be the last game you play here at Yankee Stadium this season if all goes according to what the Yankees' plan would be, and that's closing this thing out in San Diego.
I hope so. I mean, everyone would like to. We're trying to win it. You'd love to win it here, but, you know, we want to try to get it over with.
This Yankee ball club is one that seemingly, when they get a break, you guys kick the door in. That's really been the story, I think, of the first 2 games of the series against San Diego.
We've been doing it all year. You know, if a team makes a mistake, we've been able to capitalize on it. And that's what you have to do, especially when you're playing a team like the Padres. If they make any mistakes, you got to go out and take advantage of it because you're not going to have too many opportunities to score.
Well, Derek, thanks for your time. We'll see you out in San Diego for Game 3.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Derek Jeter of the Yankees. They lead the World Series 2-0. Joe Buck, back to you.
All right, Chip, thank you, and thank you to Derek Jeter, and congratulations to the Yankees, up 2-0. But now the series goes out to California, San Diego, and rocking Qualcomm Stadium. After a travel day tomorrow, we get it back in gear on Tuesday night. Back with more after this.